we go. He slams through the gears and throws it in.
This could end in a very big accident right now. And they're into the wall. Doors!
I'm taking a breath. I advise you all at home to do the same. Oh, last 2 runs of the night. He's going to take it to the podium, but will he take the win? Look at this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. If you've been watching round 1 and round 2, well, you know what to expect. An action-packed evening from the best from the sim world and the real world of drifting. My name is Dave Egan. I'm joined by, as always, by my good friend and colleague, Ian Waddington. Ian, we've had an amazing start to this championship at round 1 and round 2, and it's getting very, very close towards that grand finale. Pressure's heating up. We got a brand new track tonight. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly that, Dave. It is heating up. We are edging closer and closer to that final round where somebody will win the opportunity to drive Peter Gienseck's incredible Nissan 200SX S15 in real life. It's getting good. New track and another 30 drivers.
Yeah, we got a brand new track tonight. We're going to have a look at that in a short moment's time. Some of those drivers to watch, we saw Pavel Koblinski and Alan Hines sort of stand above the rest at round 1 and round 2 as sort of the guys that are translating that incredible real-world skill into sim skill very, very quickly. We've had a bit of an interesting start, though, for Peter Gienseck himself. He's actually put his car up on the line for someone to drive when they win this, but he has not been getting the results he's kind of wanted at the first 2 rounds. He will definitely be back for vengeance tonight. And Ian, you know what? We've been watching these battles over the last while. Judges not having an easy time either, because it is incredibly difficult to separate the level of talent we have here at the Drift Masters Virtual Championship.
Yeah, it certainly is, Dave. The judges, as you say, push to the limit. Kevin O'Connell, David Callas, and our step-in judge from the virtual world, Chris Patowski. Those guys have been pushed and pushed and pushed to make some incredibly hard decisions. So far, Alan Hines has been dominating up until that last round. And then this event, he doesn't top qualifying. Kind of feel like there's a little bit of ripple in the water. Pavel Koblinski swings through, takes first place in qualifying. Could we see a complete turn of events tonight?
Well, we looked at domination at round 1 by Alan Hines, and then maybe some cracks, a few cracks appearing at round 2. Pavel Koblinski took a little bit of time to get himself into the swing of things in the Drift Masters Virtual Championship, and now he takes top spot in qualifying here at round 3. Well, if you're new to the championship, we got to explain to them how it all works. So this is the format. We have got 5 rounds. 4 of those rounds, let's take them as qualifiers. We basically put 32 drivers into each one of those 4 rounds. 26 of them are picked from 96 overall of the best sim drifters in the world. They will go up against the wildcards, which are the real-life world champions in many cases in the Drift Masters Real European Championship. They face off head-to-head. If the Drift Masters European Championship guys win, they get prize money. If they get to the top 8, any of the sim drifters, they go towards that round 5 and that grand finale, where it's all sim drifters, and winner takes all, and one driver will be going to Poland to drive Peter Gienseck's Worthouse S15. What an incredible prize, Ian. I mean, me and you would be almost scared to take that on. But these guys seem to have plenty of confidence, and one thing they will have is plenty of seat time, as we've been shown over the last couple of rounds that these guys who are sitting at home putting in hours and hours of practice, it's showing off on the track, because in the real world, you get, maybe 8-10 practice runs before you're into competition. These guys are putting in late nighters to get as quickly as up to speed they can, and it's showing in the quality. We're in a brand new track tonight, Ian. It looks very impressive. We're yet to see some really door-and-door action here. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am as well, Dave. Look at this incredible track. Really long running into that first outside zone, and then a nice tight, off that apex inside clipping point 2. Fast transition for outside zone 3, and then a long pull for that front clipping point 4, which is again off the apex, way out. Long pull from 3. Back on the throttle, nice snappy transition into 5. Stay on that perfect arc outside zone 6 into the front on 7. Nice transition back across the finish line and outside zone 8. Looks easy, Dave. Looks easy from where I'm sitting, but we both know online drifting is just as hard as the real life stuff.
Absolutely. I want to big shout out to Adam Streleski as well. He's won a brand new Xbox. We've been running this competition with All In Games. You get to win an Xbox. I mean, I don't even have the brand new Xbox, but they are giving away the brand new Xbox before each of our rounds. All you gotta do is watch the Drift Masters Instagram and Facebook social channels, and Adam is taking home an Xbox courtesy of All In Games. Incredible prize. He's now in the game. we're all in the game and we're ready to set the game in motion tonight. As again, Ian, you said, it looks simple. Every time we say it looks simple, we are always amazed at how complicated these tracks or how difficult the judges have made it for these guys to get top quality runs. Now, what we are going to have here is a couple of bye runs to kick us off, which is a good thing because it'll introduce us to the track. It'll allow us to see what the difficult parts are, see what the more technical parts are, and get a good idea of what the lead run, which all of these guys are going to be trying to achieve throughout the rest of the competition. So I'm excited. I mean, we're always excited even when we're kicking things off. It's a brand new track. The great thing about the Drift Masters Virtual Championship is the weather's always good. We're always warm. And the tracks are fantasy tracks. So these are tracks that this is a MotoGP track in Germany. We wouldn't see this any other time ever in drifting. We get to see it tonight. There we have our top 32 lining up, Ian. Some big names in there.
Yeah, some incredible names in there, Dave. And again, Pavel Koblinski topping at first place in qualifying. And I think what a way, as you say, to kick off round 3 here is by seeing a bye run, because it gives everybody at home an idea into what the judges were looking for in qualifying. Sachsenring, a brand new track for this event, and Pavel Koblinski is going to lay down that 100-point, that perfect qualifying run. Well, there he is on the line in that replica of his very own BMW 1 Series. A favourite of mine and yours, Dave.
Absolutely, we love this car, and it's a very fast car in real life. It seems to be just as fast in the virtual world. As Pavel comes off the line, we're going to see this initiation. It's pretty high speed and pretty straight line. You can see a little flick of the car from Pavel. Big angle into that first corner. I love a good big angle first corner. I think that sets the battle up nicely. Got that inner clip as it transitions back onto another wall. And this is all very high speed. Remember, you know, any mistake at any of these points of the track, you're going to have a big error in the lead position. And look at the angle that Pavel Koblinski is showing exactly why he picked up. That's a very dangerous wall if that was in real life, that outer zone. It hooked it back into the inner zone, and this track just keeps on going. As you can see, walls placed at all of those outer zones, and you can see why Pavel Koblinski got first place in qualifying. He had no worries at all there for Pavel Koblinski.
No worries whatsoever. Clinical job, textbook, exactly what the judges wanted to see. And yeah, as we say, it took Pavel Koblinski a little while to get himself into it, you know, and into this format of virtual drifting. But I think he's finding his feet now, and as you say, he could be a contender for the championship overall. We're going to move it along to our first battle, top 32 though, and it will be Rashandy, Andrea take on Alex Carrier.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the stats of some of these drivers. You've got to love the fact that they're coming in from all sides of the world. He's got a Dutch passport, but he's actually from Curacao, which I'm actually not even sure where I would point that out on a map, but I'm telling you, it's pretty far away from where we're sitting right now, Ian. And yeah, he's going to be in the lead position in that, if I'm not mistaken, RX-7. No, my mistake, he's in the BMW, and he's chasing in into that first corner. Alex Carrier in the lead position, looking pretty strong. It's not an RX-7, it is an S15. I'm always getting these confused from the distance, but this is a brilliant run so far from both of these guys. As you can see, Rashandy now starting to creep up onto the door. Those late transitions, big dive, bit of contact, and that's our first big incident. As you can see, Alex Carrier punted towards the link engine management barriers into the tyre wall. That, to me, we'll have to have a look at it in the replay, Ian, but it looked like a little bit too much aggression and a little bit of a late dive from Rashandy. Might have exited from the competition.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that quite intently, Dave, as you was going through that, and you can see Rashandy very, very aggressive from the get-go. I'd love to see a replay. I know these guys are making their way back to the start line now to restart that run.
No, we're going to get a replay here.
There we go. Yeah.
I said, it just looks to me like everything was a really aggressive first corner from both drivers, but it's just that late dive. And I look at it, Rashandy definitely playing with fire there on the initiation, coming in very, very, very close. Both drivers keep it neat and tidy through the first, a big angle from both. You can see Rashandy starts to drop off a little bit in. This is where he starts making those big dives, and they can be dangerous.
Yeah, they are, and they are very, very dangerous. You can see Alex out on that nice lead line. We're doing a bad job so far sticking to those outside zones, but this is where Rashandy gets a little bit too carried away, dives up onto the door, and then on the transition just gets a little bit too aggressive. Full throttle, bam, touches that front wheel, and that is it, Dave. We all know a little tag on that front wheel completely upset the car, and certainly did there.
I tell you what, that could be a 10-0 if the judges are looking at that the way we're looking at it, Ian, which means that Alex has got a massive advantage here. He doesn't need to be too aggressive here when they turn him around.
No, it certainly doesn't. So it will be Rashandy to lead, Korea to give chase in that S15. No front bumper now, but he is going to go super aggressive on the initiation. Big flick there from Andrea. He some serious steering inputs there to try and make that BMW back onto the qualifying line. Nice transition from both guys, a little bit of separation. Korea gives him some room to manoeuvre now, looking for the transition back once again. Korea settles his nerves, jumps up onto the side of that BMW, starts to push him towards the wall, and a tiny job both guys. Korea looking nice and tidy. Oh, very weird wobble on line there though as he comes out of that corner. I was on some big angle, almost upsets Korea.
Yeah, Rashandy actually took a 4-year break in from virtual drifting, and when the announcement of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship came on board, he joined, and he's been practicing 8 hours every day since. So that goes to show how much commitment these guys have. To look at that initiation from Rashandy, big angle. But again, if we go back to the first running, it looked like there may have been a 10-0 on the table, and this might be quite formulaic. They both get through the second run, but there you have it. Alex Carrier goes through to the top 16, and no questions there. I mean, it was a little bit too much aggression from Rashandy. Hit the front wheel of the car, as you know, Ian, that shakes the steering wheel, that does not allow you to transition. That was all she wrote.
Yeah, exactly that, Dave. And that over-aggression, we've seen it before at round 2. Doesn't play in your favour. You need to keep your cool, keep calm, and do what you've been doing in practice and move it along.
It's difficult because think about it, Ian. It's not real world. Let's be honest. And how do you manage that aggression? How do you don't have the fear factor you might have in real world times. So it does knock you out of competition if you don't have a little bit of courtesy towards those limits. And next up we have Todor Dimitrov against Pavel Gross. Pavel Gross, if I'm not mistaken, a real world driver. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, that's right.
He will be going up against Todorov here, and as they go into that first corner, let's see how they get on. It looks like it's going to be Pavel Gross in the lead position. Nice big angle, big separation straight away though.
Yeah, it looked like he carried too much speed on the initiation there for Al-Grosh. He comes through, nice transition back on there, cutting the track though is Dimitrov as he tries to find the side of that S14A. Now he looks like he's gained that proximity back, both guys. Big angle transitions, huge speed, and a big dive up onto the side now. Dimitrov wanders and wavers on the side. Pavel Grosh's S14, very tidy line into the outside zone, foot flat to the floor as they look finish that run off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always watching those dives. It looks like a track that's going to have a lot of issues with people diving in and getting caught up with some contact. Yeah,
it looks like he carried a lot of speed on the initiation. Big flip initiation. It was very, very wide. It makes it pay off, and you can see both guys waver a little bit there and wobble into that front flipping point. They pull it off, Dave.
Well, that's the most important thing. I mean, it doesn't matter how aggressive you are. As long as you can pull it off, it's fine. You get away with it. I really enjoyed this run. I think these two guys have obviously been very strong through practice and qualifying. Those outer zones, though, Ian, very dangerous. I mean, they're right sort of at an unnatural line for the car. You're almost throwing the car out there, letting it wash, and then all of a sudden having to, well, essentially just hit the throttle again to get out of trouble. And it is going to be tough for these guys right throughout this competition.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think those front clipping points are catching drivers out as well, because they're in such an awkward position off that apex on each bend. And that line, very, very difficult. So they're back on the line. Dimitrov now to lead in Pavel Grosh.
Let's see how these guys get on.
So Dimitrov in that green, purple and black S13. S13 of Pavel Grosh giving chase. That's flick initiation from Dimitrov. There's that car, big angle. As you can see, clutch kick in the back of the car, dipping down. The flat to floor as he finds that front clipping point into that outside zone. Full throttle, no messing around. Right now, Pavel Grosh looks to the side once again. The S14, how did he make it? Pay off. He now nudges in, shallows up the angle, looks to the side of the S13 one more time. They can do that front. One more transition to go. This one is all over. A last dive at the side from Pavel Grosh as he just about pulls it off.
Impressive stuff from Pavel Grosh. That transition, Ian, was a little depth-defying. He got away with it. It looked to me that there was no contact on that transition, and if he does get away with it like that, you can expect the judges to reward him heavily for it.
Yeah, it was almost uncalled for, Dave. But there we go. Look,
hey, it's always called for a little bit of transit, a little bit of excitement. That's what we want.
So there we go. Pavel Grosh gets the win and advances through, and aggression this time paying off.
Well, there you have it. Two drivers moving on to the top 16, and from this perspective, Ian, it is so harsh. You've done all your practice, you've done your qualifying, you've done all that stuff, and then one little mistake or not being as aggressive as you need to be, and you're out. So next two up are Olay Ovrebo and Omarov. As I said, we're going to struggle with the names as we always do, Ian, because we haven't heard them a whole lot. and we are pronouncing them for the first time ourselves out loud. So we apologize if we get any of them wrong, but hey, we can play along. You can shout at your screens and tell us we're wrong. We don't mind that. So it's going to be a very interesting battle here. We've got an PS13, two S bodies, got an S15. It looks like it's going to be Magomed to chase in Olay into this first corner. Olay with a big initiation right on the handbrake there. Oh, it's a bit of a mess in the chase from Olay there, as he just had to balance the throttle to get back in it, and he's now sacrificing those clipping zones to try and get up some proximity, but he's not on the correct line here. He's going to find himself in trouble. A little bit of contact as they come through the center of the course, and look at this again. Olay pushing out wide to the edge of the course, but he's going to flirt with that outside wall, as it is now Magomed Omarov looking very strong in that lead position. Not a whole lot of proximity as they come across the line, and looked a little one-sided for me there, Ian.
Yeah, it certainly was there, Dave, and I think it all kind of went wrong from the initiation. The smoke of the tyres, they fire it in, the lead run, incredible. There we go, that was the big mistake on the initiation. Just on that red line that denotes the beginning of outside zone 1. He initiated in the middle of the circuit, and you can see where that upset his line massively. Tags at the door there, the lead driver, they come down, and then once again it puts him off because he's backed out of it. Can't get onto the throttle nice enough, he does not find that proximity, and then he struggles the whole way round to even be remotely in the battle. I could see that being a 9-1, Dave.
Yeah, it looked to me like there wasn't a whole lot of proximity, and what you want to see here is some aggression, and he tried. He definitely was trying to get as close as he could. It just looked like, you know, it looked to me like Magomed's car was just that little bit faster, and now with that advantage swinging to Omarov's way, he can be aggressive here in the chase, and he can really put a nail in the coffin if he can get close to that S15's door.
Well, he's smoking the tyres on the back of that S15 is Olay right now. Magomed fires in though on the S15. Can he hold it together? He just needs to put in a clean chase and be in the fight. There we go. He starts to reel him in now as they transition down into outside zone. And once again, Olay off of that qualifying line manages to find that front clipping point. You can see Magomed there struggling to chase the lead car with such a weird line. Shadows up there able to avoid that wall. And they look for that front clipping point. One last transition left to go. So Olay looks for the wall into the outside zone. Oh, and a tag onto the door there for Magomed just across the line.
Yeah, I think he was toying. It's like cat and mouse a little bit there, Ian, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a battle between two guys. You could see there almost a big mistake there from Magomed as he fired that car in on initiation through that first red line on outside zone 1, but he does make it pay off. He did find the door at S15. See, it's only going one way, Dave.
Yeah, I think the judges are having a little bit of an easier time tonight than they had at the last event. Magomed Omarov gets the win and goes through to the top 16. Well deserved. He was stronger in the lead and the chase, and it looks like he'll be moving on. Remember, every battle in that top 16 is do or die, whether or not you get into the final round or round 5. So they're always going to go as quick as they can and do as much as they can. So we're going to take a small break as we are rattling through the battles here in round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. We're back soon. And we are back, round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Ian, it's heating up already. A lot of drivers we expected to be doing quite well. You know, suffering a little bit of nerves on the big stage. Remember, you can practice. But when it comes to drifting, in competitive drifting, in perspective, it's down to those 60 seconds. If you don't make it happen, it doesn't matter how much practice you've done, it doesn't matter how much experience you have. We've seen some of the biggest names fall out early in this championship. But right now we have 3 drivers moving on to that top 16. We've got a couple of bye runs in there as well, Ian, so we're going to see a couple of those jump in here and everywhere. And from my perspective right now, it's all about those top 16 battles. If a driver in the sim world wins a top 16 battle, he automatically goes to the grand final, round 5. That's almost like the first win of the night, and then everything after that is sort of for pride, right?
It certainly is, Dave. Yeah, and again, I think once again in this championship, we're seeing over-aggression playing too much into the hands of people losing battles. I think it's too easy in the virtual world to get a little bit over-aggressive, a little bit cocky, maybe, and we've seen that. And we did see a couple of guys pull it off. Then on the other hand, been knocking a lot of people out of battles. And as you say, Dave, once you get through that top 32 into the 16, you know, one more battle and you're into that grand final, and that grand final is where everyone wants to be. Round 5, that is the play to get the chance to drive Peter Gienseck's S15.
And that's what everyone wants. Now, at the same time, they also want to make a name for themselves. So, you know, climbing up that leaderboard, taking on the big names like Alan Hines and all these guys who have been doing so well, the Pavel Korpelinskis, taking some of those guys out. We've seen, you know, big stars created of taking out the likes of Peter Gienseck, that kind of stuff. That's also a big part of it for them, is to put their name on the map. You know, a lot of guys in drifting only get that real, you know, notoriety when they get to the top level of real competition. But right now in the virtual world, given the current circumstances of the world we live in, this is a great way of making your name in the drift world, and guys have been doing it ever since round 1, and we might see a couple of new heroes pop up tonight.
Exactly that, Dave. We made some heroes at round 2, and some guys showed their hand, people that we'd never even heard of before. Because I don't play online drifting, Dave. You've dabbled in it a little bit?
I've dabbled. I'm actually, I do, you know, respect how difficult it is. I think when I first, you know, watched it, I thought, hey, well, without the speed and without the danger, you're taking away a lot of the difficulties. But it introduces its own characteristics of you drive too fast, you drive too aggressive when you don't have it. So it's a real chance to balance your abilities, and I think it translates very well. Next up on the line, we have Remy Andrea against Brandon Patrick. Brandon Patrick is in that Ferrari 599. I'd like to see people dabbling a little bit in with the strange chassis. Not as easy to drive, but in this case, not as expensive if you crash it. Here we go. Another battle off the line. Top 32 here at round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. It's going to be Brandon Patrick to lead in Remy Andrea.
Yeah, we go. Patrick with a nice initiation. Looks like he caught Andrea sleeping on the line, and Andrea pulls off third today. So it's quite easy so far from the judges, and you see that for the grid, as you say, happening in different vehicles. Federico Sharifo's S15 that he drives in the Formula Drift Championship, and I think that's a replica of it. And we see an AMG GT at the last round.
This is what I'm saying. I know the characteristics. These cars are built in the virtual world very like the characteristics of the real thing. So, you know, if you see an S-body out there, it's going to handle pretty much like that does in the real world. These guys are setting them up for maximum grip. They're changing caster, toe, and all the suspension settings. It's incredible how far technology has come that you can actually take these cars, make them drive almost identically to the car you have in real life or what you want to drive in real life. But then at the same time, you can take a risk here and you can go and, you know, take a Ferrari or an AMG out there and have some fun. And it might not be as easy to drive. You might have to do a lot more coding work or to make it work for your particular style. But I like it. I like seeing Ferraris out there. I like seeing something different. And in this case, it's the Ferrari that is the faster around the track because the car is in the gravel.
Yeah, so there we go. It looks like, I thought the judges want to see another replay. So there we go, back on the line, Brandon Patrick now to give chase to Remy Andrew. And Remy right now just needs to put a lap in and hope that Brandon Patrick falls apart, but I can't see it happening, Dave. With the green light to go. Here we go for the second half of the run. A spot in top 16 awaits for one of these drivers. Could it be the UK? Could it be France right now? Big, brave initiation. Just about pulls it off. There's Remy Andrew. Has dial out that angle to make that front clipping point. Now open the door for Brandon Patrick. Brandon Patrick now jumps onto the side of that PS13 as they come through that front clipping point. Nice snappy transition back. It looks like Remy's in the zone right now as he gets the back end of that PS13 onto the wall, but that doesn't affect Brandon Patrick whatsoever as he transitions up onto the side. That Ferrari looks huge next to that PS13 as they cross the line.
Yeah, I was just about to say the exact same thing. It's a much bigger car on the grid, and it was almost dwarfing Andrea's car. But you know what? A very brave initiation. That's a full over 90 degrees backwards entry into that first corner. But it does slow him down. I mean, that's what happens at the end of it. So it might not be enough to balance it out. And it isn't, as Brandon Patrick goes through to the top 16. No surprise there. Remy Andrew actually doing a great job in the lead position. Just that fall off the track on the first run. He knew it himself. I think he would have known in the car. He said, oh, you're not going to go off the track at this level and get away with it. Unfortunately, he bows out in top 32. Some great transitions too by the Ferrari, right?
Yeah, incredible driving there from the Ferrari. Really good to see that car on track. We move it along to the next battle. It will be Rocky Burns to take on Alexander Holster. I think that's one of your favourite cars there, Dave, on the line. It's an Mazda FD, yeah.
I've always said, if you're in the virtual world, you should pick a Mazda with a rotary engine because you have all of the noise and none of the grief, and it works really well. The cars, you know, it's really funny how the cars don't break down a whole lot in this game, but the internet does, so it's just the same. You can still have technical issues. It's crazy. So you'll see cars darting off the track if connections drop. So it's an interesting one. Lead position here for Alexander Holster as he throws it in. Nice job from Rocky Burns. He's in a convertible. Looks to me like PS13, which is quite cool. And he is now back up onto the side. A little bit of separation there to the center of the course. Let's see if Rocky can start to climb back in. He does. Gets close as they come through the second and third corner. Out to the wall they go, and Rocky Burns now knows he's had a lack of proximity, starting to make a little bit of contact as they come through the last section, and they keep it together. It's a nice competitive battle. Some moments of brilliance from Rocky Burns, also some moments without a massive amount of proximity. So I think it's balancing itself off there. Good lead run from the RX-7 as well.
Yeah, very, very nice run there. And some aggressive and dangerous manoeuvres there in that chase position from Holzner. Rocky Burns doing a good job.
I love the fact that he's in a convertible too.
Yeah, I've
convertible
just
PS13.
trying to work out.
Got an
Is it a PS13, Dave? Or
I think it's a PS13. I'll be confident to say it's PS13. The delivery's kind of throwing me off. I'm generally usually right on these things, but yeah, I think it's a convertible PS13. I could be wrong, but the brick headlights there throwing it away maybe a little bit. Even though there's only two of them, is that damage is sustained? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Well, Rocky Burns in that lead position now going to get forced to the wall, and Osner hold it down. Very nice lead run of the first half of the battle. Here we go, very aggressive, nice snappy initiation. Both guys very, very wide but they off the throttle early, and that's completely messed up that lead line for Rocky Burns, and you can see force Alexander Holzner into a sticky situation. Both guys get back into it. Also finds the side and the back bumper of that PS13 once again, but it's scrappy now. It starts to fall apart. Also needs to hold on to this one. Come down in front of the grandstand and transition back up onto the wall. Very close and across the line. Yeah, we have America versus Sweden on track as well. That's the great thing about the virtual championship, Ian. We get to expand it a little bit further than the whole European situation. We get to see guys coming in from the whole world. We got Sweden there getting aggressive with Rocky Burns. Rocky Burns, the most American name I've ever heard, so it does make sense. I can confirm it is a PS13 convertible as well. I just had a little check through the spec sheet there beside me, and this is another fantastic run in. Both of these guys putting on an absolute show. I mean, at this particular point in time, we're seeing more consistency from the Swede as he stays closer, but I thought he was in that wall at the last corner. So I'm going to say, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, we had a great battle between both of these guys. It could be one more time, or I'm going to just edge it towards the RX-7 for a little bit more consistency of proximity across the run. That's the first big call for the night for me. Obviously, I make no decisions here, but I'm just saying it looked that way to me. I could be wrong.
I think I'm inclined to agree with you there, Dave, because mistake in that lead there from Rocky Burns. So see how the judges see it. That's where it all comes down to. That's a good thing about this. We don't have to judge, but our real world Driftmasters judges and our online Driftmasters judges have to work out a winner who is going to go through to the top 16.
Also, Rocky Burns could get extra points here for just being that cool, having a convertible PS13. And it looks like we have a split decision. And that means it's one more time. Split decision across the judges. We're going one more time. They obviously spotted something a little bit we didn't. I mean, obviously maybe they were rewarding Rocky Burns for those big dives and that aggression. I mean, I did say it could be a one more time. I'm going to go back and say I did say that, but I didn't expect it. I thought it might have gone to Alexander there, but we're back on the start line again. Clean battle, getting ready to go. Those guys go straight back to the start line. This is the great thing about virtual drifting, Ian. No tires, no fuel. Here we go.
Yeah, straight back into it. So these guys pull back up to the line. Rocky Burns once again to chase in Alexander Holzner. This time, fill each other out. Always like to see it one more time because these guys kind of know. Got rid of them nerves. They know what they're playing with. They know who their opponent is and what line they are on. Down the start line. Big aggressive flick there from Alexander Holzner. Oh, backs it in. Rocky Burns just about holds onto it. He was going to make some serious contact with the back end of that Mazda RX-7 to go through that rear flipping point down to the front. Fast transition through that front clip, and you can see Rocky Burns transition earlier than the lead car. Up onto the wall go both guys. Rocky Burns toying with the pride of Alexander Holzner right now as they look for the final wall run. Once again, up to the wall goes Holzner across the line.
That's a very good battle. Both of these guys doing a great job, Ian. You know, from my perspective, that was even closer than we've watched on the first set of battles. These guys feeling each other out a little bit more confidence in the other driver. Definitely Rocky Burns coming in with a lot more wildness in that first corner, but he manages to keep a bit more proximity than he did in the first run. So judges will be looking at that saying, we love the aggression, maybe a little bit offline, but as we get to sort of about this section of the track, he starts to really make a move, doing some great job in the chase position. But I gotta tell you, that lead run, absolutely flawless, and those wall runs, absolutely flawless. So, I mean, there's not much to separate both guys in this one. I think it's going to come down to the second half of this battle.
Yeah, 100%, Dave. If Rocky Burns can hold on to it, I think Rocky Burns here could get a little bit carried away. He's going to try and throw something in it that he hasn't done yet, just to try and upset Alexander Holzner. Who knows? Lights start fulfilling the beam. Once they extinguish it, it's time to go. Burns to lead. Alexander Holzner to give chase in that Mazda RX-7. Screaming through the gears, convertible RX-7, wind blowing in the hair. Nice and wide, very wide on the initiation, in fact, as Rocky Burns stands on the throttle. Alexander Holzner noses the front end of that Mazda RX-7 into that PS13, and no fear right now as Alexander Holzner closer than he was before, and the transitions are incredible from Alexander Holzner. He's door to door with Rocky Burns right now, pushing him around the circuit in that little PS13. One transition left to go, up onto the final wall run, and Alexander Holzner proving a point.
Wow, what a run from Alexander Holzner. For me, Ian, if that doesn't win in the battle, I don't know what will. It was phenomenal, start to finish. He comes in not as, a little bit of a wobble there just to get back on it, but he knew what he had to do. He had to dial out a little bit of the angle to stay as close as he could. And look how quick the judges' decisions are coming in here. Alexander Holzner, absolute masterclass, goes through to the top 16. No need to ask any more questions, Ian. That was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it was textbook, and you know what? You can see this guy going far in competition because he's very, very clean driving, but doesn't make any mistakes. I'm looking forward to seeing him further on in competition.
Yeah, I think Alexander is going to be one to watch out for the rest of the competition as we move on to the last head-to-head battle on the first side of the bracket for our top 32. And if I'm not mistaken, it will see João Victor Road go up against Stephen Loxton, full of the Loxton, maximum Loxton. He's got a great name for drifting, I'll give him that. And João, well, where do you drift? You drift on a road. So, you've got it all in this battle. You got full Loxton and you got it ready for road. And he's in the Toyota Supra, the Mark V, very Daigo Saito-esque. And he will be going up against Stephen Loxton. And Stephen Loxton opting for the more, I suppose, traditional PS13. Does look like it's got some crazy bonnet vents and stuff. I'm not sure what power plant he's running here, but this is going to be our sort of second last battle, even though we've got a bit of a bye run to go in this half. This is almost half the top 32 over, so these guys have known that the competition is getting better and better as time goes on. They've got to step their game up, and they won't know a whole lot about each other here, Ian, as well. So how much do you risk here on this initiation? Well, we're going to find out how much Stephen Loxton is going to risk as he throws it in behind João Road. And look at this, big contact on the first corner. That's going to push a big mistake from Stephen Loxton. That could be a 10-0. Definitely straightened up there, Ian. Big mistake.
Yeah, huge mistake there, Dave, and not sure what happened. It looked like both cars kind of glitched a little bit there from my end anyway. And I am really loving the look of that A90 Supra as João Road now fires that through that front clipping point up into that final wall run across the line. A very nice job there from João Road. Just want to take a look back at the replay of what happened on the initiation.
I think it was a hit from the front wheel to the rear wheel, just about. Oh no, it was rear wheel to rear wheel.
Yeah.
And then I think he just straightened up after that. So to me, it looks straightforward that it was just a little bit too much aggression. Judges will obviously be analysing this as carefully as they can. But yeah, to me, it looked like a little bit too much aggression. And, as I said, maybe the occasion getting to Stephen Loxton a little bit there. Just, wanted to put on a show, wanted to be as aggressive as he could. Just, the rest of the run's okay. Interestingly enough, he gets there, but will the judges see that as a big straightening up and give him a 0? Not sure.
Yeah, I mean, prolonged amount of straightening, Dave. We know that never ends happy for any guy. Well, they're back on the start line, ready to go. Loxton to lead, Road to give chase. Road in that Toyota A90 Supra. Loxton comes firing down, and again, a massive car versus that PS13. And once again, Loxton makes a little error there on initiation. Looks like he hasn't got that completely dialed. Road gets it back onto the wall and onto the side of that PS13 now as Joe Road finds the side of Loxton's PS13, and he is glued. He is not letting him get away. He knows he's got half the run in the bag, almost a big mistake for both of them close there as they come up looking for that final wall run. Joe Road makes a little dog up onto the side and just can't get as close as what we'd like to see.
No, I think it's going to come down to that mistake on the first corner of the first running, and I don't think we're going to see anything too aggressive, in my opinion, from João Victor Road, because he knows maybe from a spotter, he's kind of got a big advantage. Does he need to be too aggressive? He kind of plays at a bit of aggression and proximity at the right times just to stay in the battle, but he doesn't take unnecessary risks throughout that chase run, and I think that was the clever thing to do.
Yeah, I think that was the right thing to do. So here we go. The decision is.
Yeah, Joe Road gets the win. No surprises there. The A90 Supra moves on to the top 16. And we are looking forward to seeing him back in competition very, very soon. And that looks like we will. I think we've got one more buy run to go. That is correct. And what are we driving here, Ian? I'm trying to figure out if this is.
It looks like a McLaren.
It looks like a McLaren, but I think it looks like a GT86 rear window. So is it a GT86 with a McLaren front end? Because then we really are getting to what this whole, or is it a Supra with a McLaren front end? It looks McLaren either way, but it's definitely, I don't think it is a McLaren.
No, I think it's I think it could be a GT86.
The first McLaren swapped front end. I think that's definitely making sense. Yeah, it looks like a GT86 with a McLaren front end. And why not, Ian? Why not?
Why not? When you could build anything, Dave, when any engine opportunity is available, why would you just not do what you wanted to do? I know I would.
I mean, it would be quite expensive to do in real world terms, I would imagine. I mean, I'm not sure there's that many McLarens out there that are getting chopped up, but in my opinion, it does look quite cool. This is Pomerad. He's got a buy run, high qualifier, Sylvia, and he's just putting in a little taster of a run. Everyone gets the same amount of laps, so he's not going to see battle action for a little while to come, but he is into the top 16 automatically. So he's got one shot to get himself into that grand final, and let's see how he does. He will be going up against João Victor Road. So yeah, so very, very interesting set of drivers jumping through. That means we have half of our top 32 already decided. We have 8 drivers now into the top 16. We're going to take a small break. We're back with more action in the second half of the top 32 here at round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back for joining us at round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. We are here halfway through the top 32. Big drivers making some names. Big drivers taking some names as we got guys going out of competition very early. We got a Ferrari in the top 16. we have got some very interesting. We've got a McLaren in front of GT86 in the top 16, and we have got some of the best drivers in the sim world and the real world ready to do battle, and we're heading on to that. I mean, for me, the track is very challenging, Ian. These guys make light work of it, I suppose, putting in those hours of practice, but it goes to show, take a dive, take a big risk, and you're in trouble straight away. We've had a lot of guys knock themselves out of competition at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Dave, and I think that comes down to more of it than anything else. Over-aggression, knocking yourself out of the battle. I've seen a lot of guys, consistency the key. You know, you can see Brandon Patrick in that Ferrari there, replicated of Patrico Sharifo's, did, you know, a very, very good job. Wasn't mind-blowing, but he did what he needed to do, got himself through into the top 16, and he is just one more battle away from making it into that Grade 8 and a spot to fight in that full final round 5.
Yeah, so every driver that wins their top 16 battle, essentially getting to the top 8, will take part in the grand finale. We've already got 16 drivers lined up out of the top 32 from round 1 and round 2. There's another 8 coming that way today, Ian. And I mean, you know, we've got some amazing drivers in there from the first 2 rounds. These guys will be joining onwards from there. I'm looking forward to seeing some more battles here. I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to step up to the plate. We've seen some very exciting door-on-door action, but can we get a guy that's going to shine a little brighter than everyone else? So we're going to have a look at the second half of the battle. We've got a bye run here for Alexander Sevriak, if I'm not mistaken. And Alexander is going to do a bye run. One of the top qualifiers, qualifying in 3rd position. So he's going to get a little bye run for himself, get a little bit of a chance to show everyone watching at home what he's all about. If you are watching in from home, let us know. We're watching the comments. We want to see where you guys are watching from. What country are you watching from? Are you enjoying this virtual championship? It's a nice way of filling in the gap before we head to the 2021 European Championship, which is the real Drift Masters, Ian. And we released the calendar, you know, what is it, 2 weeks ago now? People's minds were blown. Street circuits, stadiums, new circuits, crazy, 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 and we cannot wait to kick it off.
Yeah, no, I cannot wait to get to round 1 of the Drift Masters European Championship. Been a long time, Dave. It seems like a couple of years since we've been together in the commentary tower. I can't wait to get back to the track, smell that burning tyres, and see these guys in real life doing what they do. We go back to the start line, and it is going to be UK's very own Richard to take on Daniel Mora.
And there is one of the drivers that will be at round 1 of the Drift Masters European Championship, but now he's at round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Martin Richards in the chase position. Oh, contact before they even get to the first corner. Very aggressive from Richards there. He's making errors.
Yeah, Richards making a big error there, big contact before they even get into the first corner. Richards settles himself as Daniel Mora now puts foot to floor, and that 180SX starts to pull away. Richards cutting the track ever so slightly to gain proximity. Back up onto the side he goes. Daniel Mora finds the wall, and Richards there shallowing up, looking like a little tentative there to get too close to Daniel Mora as Richards loses that proximity and they finish the run up.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Martin Richards all went wrong here on the initiation. Just initiated a little bit. Oh, was Mora he's very close to that yellow line on the right hand side of the track. Judges will be looking at that. He might just have got away with it. Was Richards a little too aggressive and made contact? Well, I mean, you know, you got to look at the criteria there. That's that yellow line down the middle of the circuit, Ian. That's what that's for. You're not allowed to cross that in the lead position. I don't think he did. I think that Richards just crept inside it and chanced his arm, and he got his nose bitten off essentially by Daniel Mora as he initiated. But they both kept going. They both got through the run. I quite like this transition here from Martin Richards. Nice job, but just not enough proximity, sacrificing a lot of the line, maybe handing a little bit of an advantage to Daniel Mora there. Yeah,
I think Daniel Mora there, as you say, Dave, didn't really do a whole lot wrong. I think Richards just stuck the nose of that Driftworks R32 over the edge of that white line, and Daniel Mora flicked the car at exactly the same time, and the collision lights light up. To go for the second half of the run. Richards to lead, Daniel Mora to give chase. Richards now fire in his belly, ready to get it done. Screaming down the line, big flick initiation as Daniel Mora jumps onto the back bump on the side of Martin Richards. R32 Nissan Skyline. Richards put to the floor, looking absolutely dialed, and Mora with a very, very, very close transition there up onto the wall through that front clipping point, and once again Daniel Mora throwing everything at it, a little bit too much angle. He's sacrificed a little bit of proximity, so have to work hard now. Richards barely into those outside zones though. Looks like he can put a little bit more into this as Richards looks for the final outside zone. More onto the door and across the line.
Very aggressive from Daniel Mora there, and I think they're going to have a good look at that first contact on the first run. This is a much cleaner initiation, but look at that from Daniel Moore. Timed it perfectly. In any later, and he would have pushed both cars off into the gravel trap, but he managed to hold his aggression, and the transitions were absolutely sensational. Judges throwing in those results super early, and it is Daniel Moore getting the win and going through to the top 16. No arguments from me, Ian. I imagine no arguments from you.
No, exactly that. Look, Martin Richards, made that error on the chase position, and then for me, I just don't think he did enough in the lead, and not as far into those outside zones as judges like to have seen.
Well, we move along. It's going to be Ronnie Irwin taking on Junks or Junks. I think we're going to go with Junks. What do you think?
Junks, yeah, I think it's Junks.
I think Junks. We're guessing a little bit of the time.
We're guessing a little bit here. Yeah.
Usually we get to, in the real world, we get to do a lot of phonetic research. We get to go out there and ask the person themselves what they pronounce their name. But we're getting a guess here. We got João. He is representing Brazil, and you got Ronnie, who's been left for dead. He's representing the United States, and what happened there? It looked like he was just caught napping massively on the start line, and he's got a lot of catching up to do here.
He certainly has, Dave. As he starts to reel in the back end of that S15, though, of João. They come down, up into the wall. They go one last transition for this final wall run after this front clipping point. And you can see Ronnie Irwin there sacrificing a lot of line and track to try and gain proximity. Love to see the replay to find out what happened there off the start line. Yeah, I think he just got left sleeping, Dave.
Yeah, there couldn't be like this. I mean, it is a traffic light system, and the lead car is slowed by a chicane. So I have no idea what happened to Irwin there, but to me it looked like he just fell asleep or had internet issues or something happened, and he just got left for dead. And throughout the rest of the course, let's be honest, how are you going to make up that ground? Such a fast course, you got to cut the track, and you can see he's cutting the track almost every single corner to try and get back up onto the door. But he gets there towards the end, but is it a little too late? Probably for me. I think the advantage is going to be pretty significant here to the S15.
Yeah, so there we go. So back on the line they go. Ronnie Irwin now to lead out João Junks. Junks just needs to play it cool. No over-aggression. Keep his cool on and try and get the battle done. Lights go out. Comes off the line a little bit too early there. And then Irwin, maybe an issue for him getting off the line ever so slightly there. Oh, wow! Big initiation. Oh, and João Junks completely messes it up and throws away half the battle already, Dave.
What had he done there? I mean, whatever about initiating crazy, but in the chase position, it looks like he almost over-rotated there. I mean, he might get away with this, but it's definitely not made it easy for the judges. It was definitely the scariest and most showy initiation we've seen all day, but now he's back up onto the door. He's got that proximity on Irwin's back bumper, and look at the transitions. Maybe just showing off here. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but the initiation was a bit kamikaze for me.
I mean, kamikaze is the correct word. Watch this as he fires that car across the track. He's technically 2 wheels off track there, Dave.
I'm not sure what way the judges are going to go with that, but it looks like he hit the curb, and the curb unsettled the back end of the car and caused him to go on way too much angle. I don't think he wanted that to happen. And for the rest of the course, he is absolutely spot on in terms of proximity. I just think that, the run-in from both sides was a bit of a mess on both runs, and I think realistically, when you look at it, the judges are going to have to decide, Irwin being so slow off the line, and then you've got, a big mistake from João there in the chase position. I mean, yes, it's hard to know.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to judge this at all. Crazy. Not sure what the judges are going to think of that. Initiation for me, well, here we go. Decision's in. It looks like João Junks gets the win and advances through to the top 16. What do we know, Dave?
So I think I would kind of agree. I think if you look at it, Irwin was absolutely not at the races when it came to the first battle. Yes, João went a bit crazy on that initiation, but the rest of his run was pretty solid. So we're moving along to real-world drivers, and drivers that have actually practiced together in Ireland at events in the past. It's Alan Hines, the man to beat at the moment when it comes to virtual drifting, goes up against James Hudson from the UK. 2 guys we both know, Ian, 2 guys we both know in real-world terms. Now they go head-to-head here in the Drift Masters Virtual Championship, and I love this when you see the virtual world and the real world crossing over like this.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. James Hudson professes countless hours of online drifting. So does Alan Hines. Both real good real life. Who knows what's going to happen in the virtual world? Hines to lead in Hudson, spot in the top 16, UK versus Ireland. Here we go. Incredible initiation from Alan Hines. tyres, that Pro Drift Academy S15 on full throttle through that front clipping point. Hudson now starts to hunt him down in that Nissan Skyline. And absolutely flying down the hill through that front clipping point. A big snappy transition. Oh, and was that lag or was that contact in Alan Hines' position there as he hangs the spoiler over the wall? Alan Hines once again foot flat to the floor as they come through, and Hudson almost makes contact and loses some proximity as they come through and across the line.
Impressive from both drivers, and we expected it, Ian. We expected some top-notch drifting from both of these guys. And Alan Hines, I mean, he's very rarely puts a foot wrong, uncharacteristically qualifying in 6th position into this tournament. James Hudson, there's a guy that's been putting in the hours. He says he's got that sim rig working day in, day out, and it shows that his talent is rising here. As you can see, very consistent in the chase position. Would have liked to see him a little bit closer throughout some of the run, but didn't take any big unnecessary risks, stayed in the fight. No major mistakes from either driver, and I think all that's going to separate these guys now is if Alan Hines decides to go for that really aggressive chase run here. I don't think there's much James Hudson can do about that. However, we have watched a couple of guys go very aggressive in the chase run and knock themselves out of competition. So Alan Hines is going to have to manage that risk now.
Yeah, he's going to have to, you know, we've seen Alan Hines do things that are paranormal, Dave. I'm going to say that. They're not real life. And this isn't real life. So what is Alan Hines going to do right now? Off the line again. They go. Hudson to lead in Alan Hines. Hudson gets a little squirrely off the line. You can see that big dive across the track once again from Alan Hines as Hudson goes super wide. That leaves a lot of angle. Just about holds onto it. Hines onto the back wheel as they transition onto the wall. Alan Hines keeps his cool. Dives upward once again of James Hudson's R32 Skyline. How does Alan Hines make these transitions pay off into that outside zone, looking for that front clipping point? One more transition left to go as Hines gives him the room to manoeuvre, looking for that perfectly spun transition up onto the wall. Hudson into it a little bit too much.
I mean, you got to say that it's incredible to watch drivers step up from the real world and in the virtual world sort of drive similarly. That's what I always think is very interesting. You look at it from Alan Hines here, very, very aggressive into the first corner, but a masterclass from start to finish, and that's why he's taking the win and moving on to the top 16. There'll be no complaints from James Hudson. He did a good job, but not exactly enough. And Alan Hines, look at the aggression managed, just staying so close. It's simple. If you're watching at home, like we are, Ian, as amateur judges, it's pretty easy to see whichever car is closer, and if the lead car is on the correct line, that's going to get the win, and Alan Hines does get the win. So we're going to take a small break as we go towards the top 16. We've flown through the top 32. Now we're moving to the top 16. We're back after these. Welcome back to round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. We've had an exciting top 32 which has just been concluded, and you know what, from where I'm sitting, we've got a very hot top 16 coming your way. A lot of these drivers, sorry, my mistake, we still have some top 32 battles to go. I was jumping a little bit ahead of ourselves there. I was actually thinking, I was looking at my bracket in front of me, Ian, and I was going, we've got through so many battles here. I was just thinking, are we in top 16? No. We have a couple of big names coming up, including Peter Gienseck. You guys have obviously been waiting out to see how he's going to get on. He didn't have the best first round and second round, but we're hopeful, Ian, that he's going to do some damage. At the moment, we've got a couple of bye runs and a couple of battles left to go. I'm just so anxious to get to that top 16 because I know in the top 16 every battle matters. If you are a sim drifter, you win it, you're into the grand final. If you lose it, you're going home for good. And I just love, hey, call me a little bit different, but I like it when there's something on the line, and I like it when it's do or die.
Yeah, there's a lot to play for, Dave, here. Not only is it a spot in the Grade A, a step closer coming a round winner potentially, but you guarantee a spot in that final round, round 5, where you could win the opportunity to drive Peter Gienseck's S15, and I'd love that opportunity.
I mean, I would be a little frightened of that opportunity, but at the same time, if he seems like a bit of a crazy guy, he's crazy enough to let someone drive his car. But also, let's be honest, if you've gone through this entire competition, you're going to be a guy that's well able to drive, because there's such a high level of competition here at the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. You know what? These guys are holding no punches, and whoever wins this is going to be a worthy guy to see how do they get on in a real world scenario, and I think they'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think I have nothing to worry about, Dave, and you know why I'm not worried? It's not my car on the line.
Would I give my car to someone from the virtual world? I probably would. I think they'd probably be better at the job than I would. But at the same time, what we've seen here is a couple of mistakes from the start line. That first corner, such a long drag in, Ian, causing a couple of issues for people. Some contact there. We've had some guys going a little bit overly aggressive. And then in other situations, we've had guys getting left on the start line. So that start line and that run-in seemed to be a big difference maker. As we move on now to another big battle here, we've got Eric Hayes stepping into the arena with one of the best in the world, Peter Gienseck. This is going to be exciting.
Yes, it'll be very, very exciting. Two pretty similar cars, two S15 sporting the same body kit. Who knows what suspension packages and engines, but well, I know both these guys are going to go absolutely hard. Right now, UK versus Poland off the line. Eric Hayes looks for the side of Peter Gienseck's S15. Peter Gienseck with a very strange initiation, long handbrake drag, and that completely throws Eric Hayes off the scent there of any chance of a battle. As Eric Hayes now struggles to get into the flow of things as Gienseck stands on the throttle. And that Worthhouse S15 starts to get himself into the groove now. Hayes back into the motion. Can he find the side of Peter Gienseck's S15 as they come up the hill? One last transition to go before they cross the line, and Gienseck so dominant in that battle.
Well, that's what we expected from the start of the championship, Ian. We expected Peter to come out swinging. Had some issues, did maybe a little bit too much expectation on his shoulders, trying a little too hard. Seems like he's settled nicely into this course, though, and you can see from where I'm sitting, that was quite a one-sided affair. You can see Eric having some trouble in the chase position, just kind of getting himself up on the curbs, and Peter Gienseck doing a great job, of negotiating the course. Not perfect everywhere, but I think he's going to hold a big advantage into the second half of this one, and let's see what Eric can pull out in the lead position. It didn't have the pace. It looked like there was a very big pace difference there. And when it's in the virtual world, it's not a budgetary thing, it's a setup thing. And Eric probably realizing very quickly into that first corner in that his car maybe not set up just as well as Peter Gienseck's.
Not exactly that, Dave. So they warm their tyres and get back to the line for the second half of the run. Hayes to lead, Gienseck to give chase. Gienseck looking strong at the moment. Lights go out and it is good to go. Hayes through the gears, smoking the tyres on the back of the S15 already. Little flick across the circuit, nice initiation, big angle, and he's overcooked it, throwing himself off the circuit.
That's
pressure,
unfortunate.
Dave.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. They tried a little too hard there, trying to do something crazy in the lead position to bring the fight back into his hands, and that's what happens. You got to manage that aggression, you got to manage that speed, and it's difficult in the virtual world to manage speed, especially because obviously you're not physically moving at speed. So therefore, you can overcook, and that's exactly what happened to Eric Hayes there from the UK. And it is Poland victorious, I would imagine, and he goes through as he starts to drift the rest of the course. So I think it was a fairly obvious one. You can see here, he just initiated a little too late for me, and I think if you watch the initiation here, he initiates just before the line. It's a little too late, not enough time to slow the car down, and that's the end of that. And it will be Peter Gienseck through to the top 16, no questions there, and then make it a little easy for the judges. We want it a little easy every now and again for them, and they've had a pretty okay top 32. Yeah,
it's not been too bad. A couple of tough calls, one more time, but apart from that, I think the track has really been the decider. That initiation been really, really helping the judges, find fault in some of these guys driving.
Absolutely. We move on to our and we have got Joshua Gore going up against Mohammed Al-Arabi. And Mohammed Al-Arabi is in the PS13. We got Joshua in the Drift Masters S15. He's maybe trying to sway over the judges a little bit, Ian, by putting all the branding on the car, you know? Not a bad move.
Yeah. No, we've not seen anyone do that yet. So Joshua there, just like you say, trying to win the hearts of the crew behind the scenes. Off the line, Joshua Gore to give chase right now as Al-Arabi fires that PS13 in. Looks like he makes a dive across the track. Oh, big amount of understeer there for Joshua Gore. Joshua Gore now struggling. He's cutting the circuit, trying to find some proximity with that PS13 as Al-Arabi, gets himself into the mix. And even I held my breath there because I thought that was a real battle from him.
Well, I mean, I'll put it this way. It's not often you'll see Saudi Arabia go up against Canada in any sport, but here in the Drift Masters Virtual Championship, we're having it all sides. And I mean, from Ian, talk us through this one from your perspective. I mean, again, not the cleanest of battles.
No, I think the initiation there from Al-Arabi was just a little bit short, come off the inside of the circuit, and that put Joshua in a position where he had to initiate before he wanted to, caught a little bit of understeer, and then he played catch up. You can see wheels over the edge of the circuit there. Al-Arabi got himself into it, powered through, and put in a nice run the rest of it, but you can see all the way up till the finish line, Joshua there sacrificing and cutting the circuit to get back on the door.
Well, there you have it. I mean, the amazing thing here, Mohammed Al-Arabi is actually a three-time winner in the Republic of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and that's crazy. He's actually a real-life drifter that's coming into this competition, but he's made a couple of mistakes on that first run. And Joshua Gore from Canada now in the lead position as they go into that first score. Mohammed in the chase, and Mohammed pushing up onto the door. This a bit more like it, but a bit too much of the front brake from Mohammed Al-Arabi there as he over-rotates the car, somehow holds onto it as Joshua Gore does not have the same problems here as he is in the lead position. Oh, another aggressive dive up onto the curbs from Mohammed Al-Arabi here as they come around the last couple of corners. It's a sketchy one. We got two more corners to go as Al-Arabi now makes that last minute dive. Can he get up onto the door? Just can't make the impact. And Joshua Gore takes it across the line. Hard one to call. A couple of mistakes in the chase position there from Mohammed Al-Arabi. And Joshua Gore doing a good job. The Canadian very smooth in the lead position.
Yes, so there we go. My internet lagged very, very hard halfway through this battle, just at the initiation. So I missed out on most of that. Oh yeah, and you can see there, Al-Arabi made a big mistake. Joshua Gore holding on to it. But yeah, I was just going to say the proximity in the rest of the run day looked like Al-Arabi picked it. It does. Mohammed Al-Arabi gets the win and advances through.
There you have it. Joshua Gore, the 17-year-old from Canada, bows out of the competition. A big understeer moment from him. Enough for the judges to say that was, I would imagine, close to a 0, if not a 0, Ian. That's probably what it came down to.
So just one more battle to go, Dave, between these two guys, and it is Martinez, our striker, to take on Jose Ramazzotti.
Yeah, Ramazzotti in the S15 front of 14. I'm not too sure. You got to pass me before I can tell, but it could just be an S15. Could be both S15s. It looks like they are. And as they come into the first corner, very wide in it. That's very wide from the lead car there, Jose. No way, Jose, going through that first corner. You got to be a little bit tighter than that. As Martinez Ostrika now starts to make the move, he's doing a nice job of getting nice and close here. He's representing the United Kingdom, getting right up onto the door. These guys getting very aggressive towards the midsection of the track. A little bit of contact maybe on the door there as Martinez starts to put the pressure on. Nice transition, and Jose very capable in the lead run. That's a very tough job for the judges to split those two guys on that particular run-in.
Yeah, and we go back to the initiation. Take a look at this. Nice initiation from both guys, but then you can see very, very wide stands on the throttle to light the tyres up and put himself back onto the circuit. And our striker in that chase position holds onto it, does a very tidy job, keeps that proximity. Even after that terrible initiation from Jose, you can see our striker absolutely dialed onto the door. Textbook chase. Very, very nice transition right there, right in front of the judges. They come up onto the wall. So back on the line is our striker now to lead Jose Ramazzotti to give chase. Ramazzotti needs to hope that our striker makes a few mistakes in that lead position. Off the line, ready to go. Our striker to lead, Ramazzotti to give chase. And Jose hold it down. Oh, very close there on initiation as our striker fires that S15 in big clutch kick. You see the back car dip. On a very tidy line, looks for that front clipping point now. Ostriker transitions up onto the wall, and this is where Jose Ramazzotti is going to find the side of that S15. Very good job from both guys. As I say that, Ramazzotti makes a big mistake and almost overtakes Ostriker through the centre of the circuit. One more transition left to go. As Ostriker looks for the wall, Ramazzotti dials himself in, just doesn't have the confidence as they come across the line.
Yeah, I think Ramazzotti definitely wants to win, Ian. He's going for it. He's big aggression throughout the whole course. I think, you know, you're right, he made some errors, but let's have a look at this again. A strike almost on 90 degrees coming through that first corner, but I like this from Ramazzotti. He's in a great position here. He's actually using the line, the lead driver's line, to stay with him, which is really, you know, he's not cutting the course massively. And this is just where he gets a little bit out of shape. Goes on too much angle here. Just has to kind of take it where the car goes. But he manages to manage it on the front brake and the accelerator. Does a great job there of staying in it. At this point, again, a little straight, just trying to get that proximity. But I think, I mean, for me, proximity from Ramazzotti seemed to be a little bit more impressive. I'm not sure if the judges are going to weigh on that heavily. But to me, it looked like he followed the lead driver. He made a little bit of an error in the middle of the course, but he did get away with it. You know, he could go either way here. But yeah, I like the aggression from Ramazzotti there. But I'm not a judge, Ian. Again, we've been wrong numerous times in this championship of what we think. And I'm sure you guys at home are making up your own minds. But the judges are watching this with a very heavy criticism. It's a split decision, but it is Jose Ramazzotti going through. David Callis saying one more time. The other two judges, Chris and Kevin, saying it is a clear win for Ramazzotti, and he goes through to the top 16.
Well, there you go, Dave. Ramazzotti gets the win, heads through to the top 16. That means there is just one more run left to do in top 32, and that is going to be Mustafa Amine. Mustafa qualified in second place in today's earlier on.
And he's in a GTR as well.
GTR.
Yeah, something you're familiar with, Ian. You've been around an R35 GTR quite a bit. Big car to take to competition. We don't see them too much in worldwide competition, but we had a car pass at 400 miles an hour the other way there, so that was interesting. But it looks like it is Mustafa Amine ready to take to his run. Look at this, very aggressive at the blocks. They're a big old car, the 35 GTR. Ian, you've had some experience with Steve Biaggioni trying to make one work. Do they work as a high-level competition car, do you think? Can they be made work?
I think you can make them work, yeah. I mean, Bagsy's one is very competitive for what it is, saying that we built that car as a demo car basically a few years ago. We're currently under the process of fully rebuilding it at SB Motorsport at the moment. More of that will be revealed very, very soon. Super cool project of what's going on at the moment. And yeah, I've driven it a few times. Driven it at Goodwood a few months ago. It is a hard car to drive because it is so big, and visibility is hard in it. So, you know, they're not making himself an easy task there, Mustafa.
That's what I was just thinking. I mean, you know, it's not the easiest car to drive, and it's not, you know, but these guys are, you know, I mean, again, the limitations aren't always the same in the virtual world, which I do think is the case. And I think from my perspective right now, Ian, I do love the fact that these guys are picking new chassis. They're trying something different. They're doing something new. And yeah, I think from my perspective, it's exciting. I mean, the virtual world leaves you limitless opportunity to go out there and basically have as much fun with building a chassis, building a car. You don't have to worry about budget. You don't have to worry about reliability. I would four-rotor everything. I would have a four-rotor Aston Martin. You can just build what you want. That's the amazing thing. But the thing is, they do sort of handle similarly to the real counterparts, which is why we see so many S-bodies on the grid.
Of course, yeah. And look, these guys, most of them, as you know, real-life drifters. So they're going to use something that is similar to driving. You know, from what I've dabbled in on online drifting, an SR20 and an S13 for me is the perfect key.
Absolutely, and you know, I want to remind you guys that All In Games are giving away a brand new Xbox on the lead up to every Drift Masters Virtual Championship around. A free Xbox, guys. What have you got to do? Well, you got to keep your eye on the social media, Facebook and Instagram, on the Drift Masters Instagram and Facebook. We're going to let you know how to win it. You just keep an eye out. We're not going to tell you right now, but we have got a winner. Adam taking home his first from the first round. I mean, to be honest, if I got a free Xbox just for looking at social media, I would have a lot of Xboxes. So I'm just going to tell you that. We keep an eye on the social media pages for that. We are moving on to our top 16. We're excited for it, Ian. What we told you all along, every driver that's a sim driver from this point on, if they win the battle, they're going to go through to the grand finale, round 5, and a chance at driving Peter Gienseck's S15. If they lose, they're out of the competition for good. We also have some sharks in the water, Ian, which are the real world drivers. The Hines, the Koblinskis. Those are the guys trying to take down the sim drivers.
Yeah, they certainly are. And you know what? So far, Koblinski and Alan Hines have done a very, very good job of pushing everyone away. Martin Richards bowed out of competition earlier on. Overly aggressive, you know, that happens. You have to push it, find the limits. But these sim drifters, Dave, they're proving to be relentless.
The thing is, they're putting in the practice, and I think that's the amazing thing about the lack. You know, drifting is an expensive sport in the real world. It's something you need a lot of sponsors, a lot of support. You don't get a massive amount of track time because the cars cost so much to run, especially if they're 500 horsepower plus. But in the virtual world, you can practice all day, you can practice all night, you can practice with your friends, you can practice every track that's coming up, and that's why we're seeing such a high quality of driving. That's why it's so competitive.
Exactly that, and yeah, like you say, there is no limit. There is, as long as you're awake, you can be practicing drifting, and it costs no more money than what it normally does. Sitting on your sofa and looking at your iPhone. So these guys have been putting in the hours, and Alan Hines professes thousands of hours behind the wheel of his sim rig.
And it shows with his talent that he brings to the competition. I'm looking at the bracket here in front of me. Some big names going up against each other. I mean, we've got Peter Gienseck moving into the top 16. We've Alan Hines in the top 16. We've Koblinski in the top 16. But to be honest, the more we've Pavel Gross in there as well. But the more I'm watching it as it goes along, Ian, it seems like the sim drifters sort of outnumber the real life drifters at this point. And then we see the real life drifters start to make some impact towards, you know, the business end, towards the podiums. We start to see those guys mixing it up. So interestingly to see which way this will go. We've 16 drivers now who really want to win here tonight. We hope you guys are enjoying it at home. If you're enjoying it, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, let us know on the stream if you're enjoying it, where you're watching from. We'll try and give you a couple of shout outs. We know there's people watching in from all across the globe, and we're so happy that you guys are here. Again, it is the lead up to the 2021 Driftmasters European Championship, but we're warming you up. We're warming you up that you can listen to me and Ian talk nonsense about drifting. You can listen to that and you get used to it before we get back to the real thing, which is coming up very soon. So if you're wondering what's happening with the 2021 Driftmasters European Championship, all the information is online and on driftmasters.gp. We have some crazy events coming up this year. Street circuits, stadiums, new circuits. Ian, it's all going down.
It certainly is, Dave. And you know what? I can't wait to get back to Europe, get back to these circuits, see these drivers in real life, see what they've got. Dave, we're going to add to a quick ad break. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, it'll be time to kick off top 16.
Welcome back to round 3 of the Driftmasters Virtual Championship. We're back to the start line. The top 16 is about to kick off. Our first battle will see Pavel Koblinski go up against Alex Carrier. And an incredible shout out to all of our partners here at the Driftmasters Championship All In Games, Budmat, LIQUI.EU, FMIC.EU, LIQUI, MOLY, ST, and Bimerg. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the championship, and we are ready to head towards the real championship in a couple of months' time. But here we are, top 16, round 3, shot in the final. If Alex Carrier wants to go to that grand final with a chance of winning a drive along in Peter Gienseck's car, or him driving himself, he has to go through Koblinski right now, Ian. It is on.
It is on, Dave, and Koblinski is the toughest man on the grid to beat right now. First place qualifier. He's looking a little bit shaky right now as he comes up against his first opponent of the evening. Alex Carrier right now, looking cool, calm and collected, shallows up the angle, noses that S15 onto the side of Koblinski BMW. And An incredible job there, Koblinski keeping his cool, their speed and absolutely perfect flow through the circuit. But look at this from Alex Carrier once again, noses up onto the edge and to the side of that BMW as they get door to door across the line.
Impressive stuff from Alex Carrier. I think he made a moment there, Ian, where he went in very aggressive. He was dialing off a little bit of angle because Koblinski is so fast through this course. You can see Koblinski using right to the edge of the extremities of the circuit. But Alex Carrier, I think there's one mistake in this whole run, which is where he tries to make that late dive. And in that late dive, he goes on. He goes very, very close here. He goes on too much angle that when he transitions back, he loses a bit of ground. So he loses proximity here. You're going to see him sacrifice this next outer zone just to stay on the inside of the track to get close. Other than that, nothing too wrong with his run. Very, very strong run. And I'm sure the judges will be rewarding him for aggression, but he's missing a couple of zones. And Koblinski under pressure. He may be first place qualifier, but he's got to prove his point in the chase position now against Alex Carrier. Flames spinning from the bonnet of his S15. And Ken Koblinski's looking for that big run up. Watch, he's starting a little bit late here to get a bigger run up into up onto the dory, and he definitely wants this.
He certainly does want this, Dave, and Koblinski is hungry for it. Points on the board away as Koblinski goes door to door. Oh, and a big error there from Koblinski as both guys back out of the initiation and then get back into it. Koblinski finds that S15 as the BMW starts to breathe down the neck of Alex Carrier right now. Nice transition through, and Koblinski braving everything right now to keep to the side. Oh, and Koblinski makes contact. Koblinski makes contact with Carrier, and they both come to a stop in the middle of the circuit.
It was almost like the first contact and then real contact. I mean, there was no way I think Alex could actually steer out of that one. That looks like that could be a big shocker here of Pavel Koblinski. Has he thrown it away by going too aggressive? It was a decel zone for Alex Carrier. Let's just see if it was a clean decel. You can see it through the first corner. Both guys not making a good job of it. Carrier going too wide, Koblinski going too shallow. But it's all going to come down to this next section when they transition back down the hill here. This is a deceleration zone as they come through, not just here, but just about here. As they're going to decel a little bit here. Oh, that Koblinski absolutely punts into the side of Alex Carrier. Now, the judges will see, was there unnecessary slowing from Alex Carrier there, but it definitely looked like the contact is going to decide this one, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, difficult one, and I feel that could be down to Koblinski being over aggressive, and we've said it before, that over aggression in this virtual world is really detrimental. 1 inch too far and it's all over.
Well, our judges are dropping in their scores. Let's see which way it goes, and it is going to be a win for Alex Carrier. He goes through, taking down a huge that's how you get yourself into the grand final, Ian. You take down one of the best in the game, Pavel Koblinski from Poland. He's one of the best drivers in the real world, and he's out. So now it's up to Pavel Gross, another real world driver, to take on Magomed Omarov, and Pavel Gross disappears. He just says, you know what, I'm just out. So
I cannot.
He's restarted again. He's coming back down again. It'd be so much fun if the cars could teleport in real life, because it'd be so easy to grid all the cars. You could be having a sandwich in the pit and say, oh, sorry, and then boom, you're on the start line again. So that's fantastic. We don't have the start line light running away this time, which is also excellent. We seem to have a good word with him over the last couple of weeks. If you're, if you know from round 2. Okay, next up we have got Magomed Omarov in the lead position, Pavel Gross in the chase, and it's a little shallow and a little aggressive from Peros. He's got to hold it tidy here.
Yeah, Pavel losing a little bit of ground there, shallows up as he looks at the door of a Magmode ES13. Lost the final side of it now, tentatively gets up onto the door as they fire through. Pavel Gross right now looking to make a statement here, find himself into that grade 8. Now this is looking like a good battle, shaping up to be a better half as they've shallowed both up. Oh, both shallow up as they come through. Pavel Gross making a big mistake though, that run.
Yeah, I mean, not the cleanest run. I think if you're going to put some of the blame, as you so rightfully said, Ian, a little bit has to go for Pavel Gross as he comes into that first corner. Sort of like overly slows there on the handbrake, has to get back into it again. And he's sort of at very little angle here to try and make up the ground. So the lead driver doing a better job here as they come through this section of the course. And from where I'm sitting, Gross, he's not close enough to be making errors or sacrificing zones, but he does a good job here of staying in it. And this is just where you notice he made a little bit of an error as he comes into the middle of the circuit, dives, and just kind of backs out a little bit. Not bad. I mean, I'm probably over exaggerating some of the mistakes there, and Gross doing a good job right throughout the course. But when you get to this level, you can have sometimes you have to be a little critical. You have to say, hey, what are we separating these guys on? What are the judges looking for? And at the moment, Omarov to me has a small advantage. Maybe Very small, but let's see what happens as they switch them around.
Yes, so swap them around, and Omarov now to give chase. As Pavel Grosz leads in that white S14. Nice initiation as Pavel Grosz fires that car on a big angle, but it opens up the door for Omarov. I think he noses that PS13 onto the door, gives him a tag and a depth-defying transition. How they didn't have a big collision there, I will never know. Once again, snappy transition fast down the hill onto the door. Goes Magarov as he puts himself into the wall.
I was just about to say, it looked to me like he was just sliding towards that wall. We haven't actually had anyone hit the wall hard, and that is that could. I mean, as I said, Pavel Grosz not perfect through the run, but sometimes you don't need to be. And we've watched this, so many times in drift battles. It's about keeping it tidy. And it looked to me like Omarov made a big dive towards that wall, and he didn't actually understand how close the back end of the car was coming to it. And unlike the real world, where the back end of the car may have crumpled a little bit to save him, it didn't on this occasion. It spun him around like a top.
Yeah, he was kind of offline. If you look, he was offline. It gets to the back bumper, gives him a tag, and that was it. I want to know if he's wearing VR, because if he's wearing VR, Dave, that would have been very trippy.
Yeah, he would have been spinning around. He would have been in, what do they call them? Those the teacups, in the the
cup
teacups,
and saucers.
Yeah, that's what it would have been like. So there you go. It is Pavel Grosz moving on to the top 8. And you know what? Justified, deserved, and judges having an easy Saturday evening, aren't they? I mean, these guys are knocking themselves out.
Yeah, we go back to the line, and this one, a little and large, Alexander Holster in that small Mazda RX-7 FD to take on Brandon Patrick in that Ferrari.
I mean, it looks like one is near and one is far away, but it actually is a big size difference in these two cars. I mean, the Ferrari is big as it is, and you bolt on a big wide arch kit, it gets even bigger.
So Holster...
Brandon Patrick, in the lead position. And it is going to be a very interesting battle here as Alexander in the chase position now starts to fire down the straight. It is Sweden versus the UK, and the UK leading them out. And look at this, very wide from Brandon Patrick. I'm not sure if that's the perfect line, but it's worked out well for him on that inner clip and that outer zone. And now we're starting to see Alexander Holster put on some, we talked about it, Ian, very aggressive driver, very consistent driver, not making any errors, looking good so far.
Yeah, the Holster's on to the door, very, very aggressive. Brandon Patrick putting in a nice lead line, though. Once again, nothing wrong with this one as Holster depth-defies the perception as he almost takes the back end off that Ferrari.
Well, I'm not too sure. I mean, Holster for me doesn't make any errors there, but I think the lead run was excellent from Brandon Patrick. I mean, he did a good job. I questioned how wide he was there, but yeah, I'm not too sure. What do you think, Ian?
Well, my internet lagged once again there, Dave, and I missed 90% of that run right up to the point that I could start watching. So this is the first time I'm seeing this. Brandon Patrick, for me, in that Ferrari does a very good job. Their lead line is incredible. Holster, not bad. A few mistakes. Looks panicky, Dave. Looks like he's pushed to make these decisions.
A little bit, but I think, when you're chasing a Ferrari at a foot, at 70 miles an hour, you can afford to be a little bit nervous. It's an unusual situation to be in. I think this one's all going to come down to this run. I'm really looking forward to seeing how these guys get on. Brandon Patrick looking excellent in that Ferrari. Look how big it looks. It looks almost comically big compared to the RX-7 as they come through that first corner. And it's certainly an intimidating factor as Brandon Patrick. A little bit, not as much proximity as we would have expected. It looks like Holster's got that smooth, quick line through the course.
Yeah, Holster's holding on to this one right now. Brandon Patrick looks like he's a little bit nervous to get too close to that Mazda. Starts reeling him in now on that final front tipping point. They transition up into that final wall run. Separation once again. I'm not sure. I think that's too close to call.
That is, that's a tough one. I mean, the initiation here was a bit strange because Brandon Patrick, it was way behind. And he caught up very quickly through the first corner. And the judges will look at that. He wasn't as aggressive through the initiation as he might have wanted to be. You've got to look at it from another perspective here, is that he was aggressive here. And again, this part of the course is really difficult because the lead car is slowing on a wall. And I think he did a great job here, Brandon Patrick. I think he's done enough for me on the aggressive. He was a little bit more aggressive than Alexander throughout both runs. So I'm not sure. It could be one more time. Let's see which way it swings. Judges will obviously give us their opinions on this, and they'll give their opinions by, yellow arrows that move left or right. But we will see who's going through to another top 8 battle. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, very interesting one. I'm not sure if this could be too close and this could be a one more time.
Which would you have, though? The RX-7 or the Ferrari? That's a tough one, isn't it?
RX-7.
You would have the RX-7 over the Ferrari?
all day long.
But you got to look at the monetary value, Ian, and say, you know, one of them might be just a little bit more expensive than the other.
Yeah, but I mean, look at it, Dave. Have you not watched the most recent Hoonigan video where he barn finds an RX-7, paints it, and it just looks badass? Stock form.
They do look pretty good. I'll give it that. I think they're definitely aging better than the Ferrari. It's a split decision, but it's Alexander Holster getting the win and moving through to the top 8. Another driver joining into the top 8. Yeah, I can see it. I can see what the judges are looking at there. I mean, you know, it is very tough to call some of these battles, and I think it's got to come down to that criteria of, you know, proximity, but also the duration of the proximity. Here's an interesting one. Brand new Supra from Jow Road going up against Pomerad Sylvia in his McLaren fronted GT86. Welcome to the virtual world. Welcome to how crazy it gets, and welcome to another DMVC Top 16 battle.
So here we go on the line, and this is the first time that we will see Pomerad Sylvian take a battle. He got a bye run in the first half of top 32.
He did. This will be the first half of our top 16 concluded at the end of this one, so I'm looking forward to seeing where we stack up. And look at this nice initiation from Pomerad Sylvian into that first corner, and that A90 Supra of Jow Road representing Brazil, and the Brazilians are starting to close in slightly on the French driver in the lead position. Both beautiful looking cars on track, but we've got to see some beautiful driving here or we won't find a winner. And Jow Road now transitions nice and close. Oh, bit of contact there. Looked like a little bit of a wobble. Will they get past the wall? Just about. Might have been a little bit of lag there for one of the drivers as well. And it just seems like they keep it on track, but it looked to me like it could have turned sketchy very fast there to the centre of the course. Both guys make it home, and I think this one is not going to be decided on the first run.
No way. A very, very nice battle from both these guys. Good lead and a good chase. Looked like it was going to get a little bit hairy on the initiation there for Jow Road. He managed to put it together. You can see him clutch kicking that Supra and making sure it drives straight forward and away from the outside zone. And looking very, very tired as he comes through the centre of the circuit. It's some good proximity. Plays with the side of that GT86 and does a very, very nice job there.
I think, you know, it's going to come down to the second one. I mean, we're at the point of the competition now where everybody can drive and everybody's sort of comfortable to go close and everyone's comfortable in that lead position. If you've got this far, you wouldn't have had a bad lead run up to this point. Would I be fair in saying that, Ian? So at this point, we're going to see good lead runs and we're going to see a management of aggression in the chase. I think this one's going to come down to how aggressive Pomerad Sylvian wants to be here in the chase. He's got a McLaren front on the car. He can't be protecting it, Ian. He's got to go close.
He's going to certainly have to go close, Dave. He might have to risk a headlight or two right now. Jow Road with floor starts to smoke him out as Pomerad gets lost in a smoke cloud, sacrifices the outside zone and proximity starts to fade away. The Jow Road is foot to the floor, absolutely flies through the circuit, shortcutting the track right now. Pomerad Sylvian as he tries to find the side of that 890 Supra, but there is nothing in it. As Jow Road once again transitions up into the outside zone and across the line.
Whew. I don't know. I don't know. I thought the first run was pretty tight. I think the second one is just as tight. I think the little wobble on initiation though there from Sylvian, I mean, does kind of straight line the entry. I'm just going to put it out there. It's a little bit messy and he's missing some zones. That's the only thing I can really pick apart from this. And when you're missing zones, you've got to be really, really close. And he wasn't as close. But then if you look at that wide line in the lead position from Road there, he kind of takes a weird line to that wall. But they both get home. I mean, it's going to come down to the judges and the criteria that they're placing on it. I think if you're looking at aggression, you're kind of leading towards Sylvian. But if you're looking at tidiness over the two runs, you're leading with Road. That's kind of how I see it.
Well, there we go. We was right, Dave. It's a McLaren 720S front end.
Why wouldn't it be? Yeah, so why wouldn't it be? And I mean, if I would put a McLaren. Now it's giving me ideas. Okay, so let's see which way we go. Jow Road gets the win. He is going through to the top 8. And you know what? It was the consistency over the two runs that ran him out. So we are going to be moving on to the second half of the bracket for our top 16. We've got 8 drivers in. We've got another 8 to go. We're back after these. Welcome back to round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. If you're just joining us, we are halfway through our top 16 bracket, and we're moving on to the top 8 very, very shortly. Got a couple more battles to go. We're trying to find a winner, Ian, and it's getting tougher and tougher for the judges each battle out.
It certainly is, Dave, and we've had some big upsets already. Pavel Koblinski out of the top 16. Our first place qualifier knocked out of competition by Carrier there in that S15. And some big names getting taken down and some big names being created tonight.
And that's what it's all about here, getting, the guys who are sitting all over the world. We've got guys, driving in from Brazil, from Canada, from Saudi Arabia, from all over the world, coming together for this championship. But there is going to be a big reward at the end of it. You get to drive Peter Gienseck's Worthouse S15. However, at the moment, everybody who's in this top 16 bracket, and we're halfway through, if you're a sim drifter, if you win your battle, you automatically go to that grand final. If you lose, well, that's the end of the competition for you. So every run you're about to see in this top 16 is like a final for these guys. Getting to that round 5 final. We're 3 rounds into the championship, and it looks like at the moment Alan Hines is still definitely the man to beat out there. Most consistent driver, highest podium finish every time. But let's see what happens here on a brand new track here tonight. And it's a MotoGP track. We wouldn't normally see this in the drift world. We're getting to see it tonight. I'm really excited to see what happens. And if the battles have anything to go by, we've had crashes, we've had spins, we've had contact, we've had off in the gravel. It's lived up to the expectation, Ian.
It certainly has, Dave, and you know what? This is leading us up to probably one of the best years of Drift Masters European Championship. We're about to see, after taking a year out, things are going to get heated, and here we go. Let's heat it up a little bit more. Daniel Moore now to chase down Alexander Sevriak. We haven't seen Sevriak yet in competition. He got a boiler run as well. Here we go, off the line, a spot in the Great 8 awaits.
Well, here we go. It's going to be Alexander Sevriak in the lead position. Daniel Mora in the chase. And Mora just leaving a little bit of a gap there, trying to feel out that blue S14 through the first corner. Mora now, he was very aggressive in his top 32 battle, but at the moment getting left a little bit for dead here. He's going to have to start cutting the track to start making up that proximity. As you can see, Alexander Sevriak, not an issue, absolutely firing through the course right now. He's at full throttle through the wall there. We haven't seen anyone do that today so far, and he's absolutely left Daniel Mora for dead here. And I think Alexander Sevriak has the fastest car on this track, and he has just become a major problem because he had a bye run, because he was the first place qualifier, not the first place qualifier, but a high qualifier. We didn't see him actually compete against anyone up till now, and now he's a massive problem for everybody, isn't he?
He has certainly stepped up, Dave, and what a problem is. Daniel Moore absolutely flew through first half of competition, but look at this. Sevriak just absolutely stands on the throttle, full throttle, all the way through the outside zone and disappears out of sight. Daniel Moore, well, there is nothing that he can do about it. For those in the chat that are asking what track it is, it's the Sachsenring. Germany, I do believe, Dave, and a MotoGP circuit, as you said a minute ago.
Absolutely, and one should, that's very demanding for sure. I mean, I cannot get over the difference in pace there. I mean, we've seen this happen in the real world quite a bit with setup, but Alexander Sevriak, I mean, he's taken a massive advantage from the first half of this battle. He seems to be faster than everybody else on the track, and now he's in the chase position. Let's see if he can drive home the hammer. Can he get himself into that top 8? Can he guarantee himself a position? He's almost run into the back of Daniel Mora here. He's at that much pace, and this guy is not messing around, Ian. He looks very aggressive.
He is hungry for the win, Dave, right now as he jumps up onto the door of Daniel Mora's S13, and Daniel Mora's hope of being in that Great 8 is slowly slipping away as Sevriak absolutely paints himself all over the side of that S13. This is an incredible chase right now, not taking it away from Mora in that lead position. It's flawless, but look at the proximity from Sevriak right now. He is an unstoppable force.
I think this guy has something special.
Where
I'm going to say it. I think
this guy come from?
Where, I mean, we saw a bye run in the top 32, so we didn't really know what to. I mean, he looked good, but we didn't know how to compare him to anyone else. But the calculated approach in the chase position, the lack of errors, the speed in the lead position, could we be seeing a very high standard potential champion in the making here? We've only seen one battle, but Daniel Mora was so good in that top 32, and he was made look quite ordinary here. So let's see what happens as the judges. No surprises here. Alexander Sevriak goes through to the top 8. He's also in the grand final, and he's also a big problem for everybody else in the grid right now.
He certainly is, Dave. I'm just trying to find some information on this young man, find out where he's come from and how he is.
It's a mystery. We don't need to know. He's just a mystery
he's
driver.
A mystery. He is a mystery.
We'll move it on to a man that isn't a mystery to us. Alan Hines, big performances at round 1 and round 2. He's gone up against Zhao Zhungs. Zhao Zhungs actually got through his top 32 battle after some very, very heavy heavy competition, so he's going to be going up against Alan Hines. They'll all know how good Alan Hines is here, so there'll be no holding back for anyone at this point. Alan Hines in the lead position in the Pro Drift S15. He's going to have Zhao right on his tail now. Ireland versus Brazil. Here we go.
Here we go, nice initiation from Alan Hines, absolutely spot on the money. But there we go, look at Zhao Zhang's onto the door, almost made contact with that front wheel of Alan Hines' S15 there. Rightly puts Alan Hines in a situation up onto that wall. Zhao Zhang's there once again though, transitions, puts big angle on, and over rotates it. Has to scrub off that angle and then find himself back into the mix to try and find the side of that Pro Drift Academy S15. One last transition to go from Alan Hines, he puts the back end on the wall and across the line.
There you have it, it's Zhao. I mean, it was a wow from Zhao in the chase position there, because he went on absolutely enormous angle for not really much reason. Just decided again to go for the big angle halfway through the course, and I think it's going to mess the score up here. I think Alan Hines definitely looks more settled, I think is the right word, throughout the course. He looks more consistent. Just watch here on the transition, just for no reason, just goes backwards, but it leaves him having to kind of wobble and straight up a little bit. Now look, again, he recovers phenomenally from it, and to be honest, I quite like it, Ian, because it's actually very exciting to watch, but it's not what the judges are looking for. So Alan Hines, I think, taking a small advantage here.
Yeah, I think Alan Hines, as you say, Dave, taken an advantage there, and judges would have deemed that as a big error. Zhao Zhang's go back to the start line, reposition. Alan Hines now gets to sit in the chase position. So Zhao Zhang's pulls up to the line to lead out Alan Hines. This is for a spot in the Grade 8. Alan Hines will be happy to know that Koblinski is out, and that championship opens up once again. Lights extinguish, and away they go. Zhao Zhang's to lead Alan Hines to give chase. Alan Hines makes his way across the circuit. Look at that, dives onto the back end of that S15, and big angle once again for Zhao Zhang's as Alan Hines calmly keeps himself together, looks for the side of the S15 on a perfectly timed transition from Hines. Dials in on the throttle, and you can barely see Alan Hines because he's all over the side of Zhao Zhang's right now. Zhang's just trying to hold it together, keep himself calm, starts to fall out of those outside zones. So one last transition to go as Alan Hines puts onto the door and across the line.
Great job from Zhao there, but I think you've just got to. I don't think you need to be a drifting genius or have the electronic brains of our judges to figure out that Alan Hines does look very strong across. But Zhao, big angle on the first corner. I thought Alan Hines was going to make contact there. Does a good job stamping on the front brakes, gets back in it. And from here on out, everything Zhao does, Alan follows and doesn't make any errors. So from my perspective, quite an easy call for the judges. It's going to be Alan Hines going through to the top 8.
There we go. Alan Hines advances through in competition. A lot of people wondering if he is actually real, Dave, Alan Hines.
We've had a lot of questions about this, and I'm doing my research. People say he's real, but he lives in a virtual world now. Someday he got, transformed into the Twitch and the universe online, and now he's become one with the computers, and I think he has to be charged every night and stuff like that. So, we never know. But here we go. Peter Gienseck is now back on the line, the real world driver, and guy finished up second in the Drift Masters King of Riga last year, and a couple of Formula Drift podiums to his name, top 3 finish in Formula Drift to his name, and he is going up against Mohammed Al-Arabi from Saudi Arabia here. And this is an interesting one, as Gienseck doing a good job in the lead position, as Al-Arabi now starts to reel him in, getting really, really close to the door as they transition back. And look at this, Al-Arabi right back up onto the door again, and absolutely flying into the last couple of corners here as Al-Arabi now starts to jump back into the chase position nicely. The only thing Peter Gienseck doing wrong there is, maybe just a little bit too settled in that lead position. But Al-Arabi, again, a little sketchy, jumping forward, not great proximity at moments. Gienseck, I think, taking an advantage here over this. But a good job by Al-Arabi there, coming in very hot, very wide line from Peter Gienseck there. Seems to be working for him through that first corner. And that must be what the judges exactly are looking for, because obviously Peter Gienseck listens very carefully to those judges, and it looks like he's in flying form tonight compared to round 1 and round 2. And Al-Arabi doing a good job. Look at the proximity here from Al-Arabi, looking really nice as he gets into this last section. But as they come towards the last, just losing a little bit in. And very solid from both guys. Maybe Gienseck looking a bit more settled.
Yeah, Vincent looking good there. Yeah, sorry, Dave. Once again, internet issues causing havoc tonight in my household for some reason. Nevertheless, I managed to catch the second half of that. And look, Peter Gienseck looking dialed, looking comfortable in the car. We've not really seen the real Peter Gienseck that we get in real life drifting transform into virtual drifting as of yet. And I think tonight He's kind of found his form. It looks like he likes the track, likes the flow, and he's not found his feet. Mohamed Al-Bari, he's got a task on his hands now. He sits in that lead position. Gienseck is going to be hunting him down. He's going to be hungry to try and battle Hines in the grey 8. And look at this, as Al-Arabi fires it in, a nice angle, and you can see the big clutch kick there from Peter Gienseck. As always, he catches a little bit of understeer. Peter Gienseck dials it out and then struggles to keep a hold of the front end of that S15. Once again, Gienseck just about keeping into it. Now finds his form. But does he, as Al-Arabi manages to absolutely fly through the middle of the circuit, and Peter Gienseck looking a little bit on the ropes in the second half of this battle. Gienseck looking very, very scrappy as Al-Arabi puts it to the wall.
Well, it looked like all the advantage that Gienseck had in the first run might be diluting away a little bit here on the second. Al-Arabi looking pretty strong in the lead position. Let's have a look at this one again. As Gienseck comes into that first corner, it's pretty solid here from everybody. You can see Gienseck doing a good job of just managing that aggression, but not right up onto the door, and Al-Arabi doing a good job. This is where Gienseck starts to make a move as they come down the hill, but maybe a little bit too much left foot braking and a little lack of angle from Gienseck. You can see he's not on a whole lot of angle in the chase position. He's doing a very calculated run here. Maybe the over-aggression from round 1 and round 2 playing in his mind that he doesn't want to knock himself out of competition. But yeah, very close, very solid. I still think the bigger mistakes were on Al-Arabi's side from his chase run, but we'll see what the judges say.
Well, we're getting a lot of one more times in the chat, Dave. A lot of people are saying one more time. I think we could see it one more time here.
I'm not too sure. I think Al-Arabi, a better lead and maybe more mistakes in the chase. Gienseck very solid over 2 runs. Hard to know. Big old supercharger, am I right in saying? Sticking out with the...
Yeah, looks like an LS with a supercharger. Well, here we go. Decision's in. And I was right, Dave. It is going to be a one more time.
There you have it. Mohamed Al-Arabi taking Peter Gienseck to one more time. Even more impressive than that is Ian calling that one right. So we are in a situation where we will go back to the start line and have it one more time. I mean, the one thing I like, Ian, is the dedication of the guys. You can see them in the background there telling the cars to stop. Because those guys, they're like the statues in London. Just don't move. And they're unfazed. I love that. The dedication to just making sure those drivers are pointed at is pretty special. So we're going to move back to the start line. I got to make a little fun of the virtual world every now and again. I mean,
every now and then. I mean, that's on you, Dave, because there's a lot of those guys out there.
There is. I'm not thinking fun. I'm just saying it is comical, and I will always find the comical things in these. Here we go. It's going to be Peter Gienseck in the lead position, representing Poland in the chase position. Representing Saudi Arabia is Al-Arabi. He's coming a lot more aggressive here as contact between both cars. It looked a bit messy through that first corner from both drivers. I have to say, I'm not too sure. Al-Arabi now missing zones as Gienseck starts to tidy it up. Al-Arabi up onto the curb and making some big dives, but he's going to have to back off a little bit. He's going to lose some ground here as again Gienseck looking a little bit more so dialed in throughout this first lead run. Al-Arabi's got to make a move here. He's got to make a late transition. He does. Can he get up onto the door? Just about. The first corner though, he looked a bit sketchy from both drivers.
Yeah, not sure what went on there, Dave. I'd like to see it from a different angle because they went very, very wide, very fast initiation from both these guys. What did Al-Arabi do? Oh, he kind of went way off track. Yeah, Al-Arabi went way too far forward, but Gienseck went too deep into that outside and then had to shallow off the angle to pull the front back in for that front clipping point. Sketchy stuff there from both those guys. Once again, Dave, and I 100% agree, I just don't think Al-Arabi brought anything into the fight of that. Not until the very, very last wall run.
Yeah, and Gienseck not doing himself any favours because, as solid as he looks for 90% of the run, he's making those little errors in the 10%, and I think it would make it a lot easier for the judges if, that first corner, for example, or hadn't over-rotated a little bit. It's hard to know. That's the thing. We're always one massive mistake away here from this being very easy to decide. That's the way these things work. So I think with these two guys on track, anything can and often does happen.
So Peter Gienseck
doing some tire warming there. Al-Arabi, that was cool. It just appeared through the smoke. That was quite cool. Very choreographed move there on the start line.
So here we go. Lights illuminate. Once they disappear, then we are good to go. Al-Arabi now to lead out. Peter Gienseck spot in the grade 8. Gienseck all over the back end of that PS13 on initiation. No mistakes this time. A little wobble though from Gienseck as Al-Arabi looks like he's got that initiation dialed. Onto the wall he goes, and now Peter Gienseck starts to find the side of that PS13, holds his breath as he transitions through the middle of the circuit, foot flat to the floor from Mohamed Al-Arabi right now. He looks for that front clipping point, one last transition to go. Can Gienseck stick it door to door and seal the deal as the run is one and done?
Oof, I mean, hard to know. I think, from my perspective, Peter Gienseck's done enough there. What are you thinking? I think that's a much better chase run. Al-Arabi, though, very solid lead run, I must say. But Peter Gienseck just looks so much more composed and dialed throughout the whole course. I'm going to jump ahead and say I think Gienseck's got this.
Yeah, I think Gienseck's done enough there in the chase position. You know, he lead to lead, chase to chase. I think the chase from Peter Gienseck is, you know, a lot better than what Mohammed was able to put down. The judges favouring Gienseck in this.
Yeah, you know what? He's had a tough run in the first and second round. I think this might be his first time moving into the top 8. I mean, we're jumping ahead of the gun here, but I think we've watched enough drifting maybe to be able to predict this one, and we aren't idiots. Peter Gienseck does go through to the top 8. That is a pretty solid result for him, and a big improvement over round 1 and round 2. Starting to find his form, Ian.
He's starting to find his form. He's in that great 8, and he's going to be fighting the man, Alan Hines, very, very soon. So we move along. We'll be Mustafa Amine, take on Jose Ramazzotti. And Mustafa, we haven't seen him yet in competition on the buy run. This is the first time we'll see him against a partner. And the chat, Dave, is going mad saying that Mustafa is going to win.
Well, Mustafa's got a lot of fans in the chat, but has he got fans in the judging booth? That's the question. He is in the lead position. He's in that big old GTR, big flick into that first corner. Oh, he lets it slide down. And he actually makes it work, which is pretty interesting. But look at the proximity from Jose Ramazzotti. He's not backing down here one bit. He made a little bit of an error there, but he got back into it again. This is very aggressive driving from both of these guys. This is what we came here to see today, as Ramazzotti now trying to get back up onto the door of that GTR. Look at that wall run from Mustafa Amine. Unbelievable. As Ramazzotti does a great job. Ramazzotti. I said Risotto? That's a pasta.
I thought I heard you say it, Dave, and I didn't want to correct you.
I was so excited. I started just naming my dinner. Absolutely no offense meant. It came. I was talking too fast. Too much going on. We had a GTR and you know, as I said, from my perspective, Ramazzotti looking very aggressive through the whole course. Very exciting run from both of these guys. It's kind of the first really aggressive, clean battle we've had in a little while, and I love
the lead. Run. Yeah, I love the lead. The lead line, Dave, was so good.
Yeah, well, hopefully no one made a dinner of that, even though I was referencing dinner. And we move back to the start line. From my perspective, Jose Ramazzotti, a lot of work to do in that lead position to match what Mustafa did. And Mustafa, he's a great lead run driver. We haven't tested him now in the chase position. Let's see how he gets on.
Well, he's going to have to put it all on the line right now as Mustafa comes down to chase it in. Ramazzotti fires that S15 in, almost gets it wrong, but Mustafa gets a little bit too aggressive, starts to bang wheels with Ramazzotti. Very shallow is Mustafa right now, as he now looks like he's found a little bit of form, calms himself down, jumps up onto the side of the S15, loses a little bit of ground on that transition though through the middle of the circuit. Oh, both guys shallow out as more contact happens through the centre of the circuit up onto that wall. Final transition as Mustafa needs to seal the deal into the outside zone, and the run is over.
I would not like to be a judge on that, because if you take this first corner here, Ian, watch the chase car here. Does he straighten up considerably? I mean, he's got himself trapped in the middle of the circuit there. As you can see, he's in the wrong place. He's made contact with the front wheel of the car. Right there, he's very straight for me, and then he gets back on the power. From here, it's an absolute masterclass from Mustafa, because he's doing a great job in the chase run. That is a big error on that first corner, Ian. The judges will be watching it.
Yeah, they're going to be all over this one, Dave. There's a lot of errors there from Mustafa. Too aggressive. Once again, banging wheels, making contact. Judges not liking that.
Got flashy lights though. That's
it's got a very good looking GTR there.
Yeah, and I mean, how do they make these things with the lights? And it's crazy, unbelievable what guys are doing these days. And there you have it. Jose Ramazzotti moves on to the top 8, and no arguments from our side. I think you could see the potential in Mustafa, but he did have a little bit too much aggressive, and yeah, from my perspective, not doing enough. No,
not doing enough at all, Dave. There we go. We take a look at ourselves in the virtual studio.
Absolutely, we're still here. Well, we're here, but we're not here. You know, that's the magic of technology. So I'm in Ireland and Ian is in the UK, but this is the first and closest time we've been to being in a commentary box in quite some time, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good, Dave.
I enjoyed that last battle. I think, Ian, we talk about it time and time again. The big names go home today. Doesn't look like the big names are going home. Looks like Hines, Gienseck, and all those guys are staying in it. However, we did lose Koblinski, which was a surprise, our first place qualifier, showing how unpredictable this whole thing is.
Yeah, Koblinski and Richards going out, you know, kind of wobbles the table ever so slightly, and we know Koblinski's been a heavy hitter so far in this competition. But to see Alan Hines still in it and Peter Gienseck now finding his feet, things are going to move through. I could see, you know, Alan Hines in the final once again.
I'm just going to say it out there right now that this dude, Alexander Sevriak, who came from absolutely nowhere and decimated, and I mean decimated, Maura, he goes up against Alan Hines, and I'm just going to put it out there. This guy, there's something about him, so I'm looking forward to seeing that one. But we're moving on to the top 8. So everybody here in the top 8 that is a sim drifter is going to the final at round 5. If you guys are just joining us, we're here at round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship, hosted on Assetto Corsa, but very much like the real life counterpart Drift Masters European Championship. Same rules, same judges, same 2 stupid commentators, and everything else is very, very similar as well. I want a big thank you to all the team behind the scenes. There's probably 30, 40 people working on this project right now, all from different places, all from different parts of the world, and in Ian's case with different speeds of internet connection. So we're going to be moving on to our top 8. This is the business end, Ian. Top 8, this is, you know, you win one battle and you get sort of 2 chances at the podium. That's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, this is it now. This is where it all really happens. I mean, if you're in the Great 8, you're already in that grand final at round 5. So kind of pressure's eased a little bit. You know, you can kind of sit back and relax. But then do you really want to relax? You know, you can now win this event.
I'll tell you who can relax. We can. The viewers at home can relax. We can sit back, relax, and watch some of the best online drifting in the world. And if you guys think this is a game, it's not really a game. You know, from my perspective, these simulators are just as real. I have one at home, a Fanatec simulator, and to be honest with you, it would rip your arms off. It has an emergency stop button. I mean, you don't have an emergency stop button on something that isn't very like the real thing or the real car. And the skills are the same. A lot of these guys using virtual reality, so it feels like they're in a proper competition right now. And watching on, the production level is exactly the same as the Drift Masters European Championship, so I feel like I'm at a real event. Before we do get into that top 8, though, me and Ian will be back to shout at the screens to find out a winner. We're back after these. Welcome back to round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. We are here at the top 8 stage. Business time now, Ian. Who is going to take home the top 3 positions on the podium? Alex Carrier will go up against Pavel Gross. Those 2 guys a little untested right now. Alexander Holster going up against Joe Rode. Alexander Sevriak coming in like a bat out of hell, going up against Alan Hines, the favorite. And Peter Gienseck back on form, going up against Jose Ramazzotti. Big matchups coming soon, Ian. I'm looking forward to this.
I certainly am, Dave. Yeah, and a brand new track, the MotoGP track, Sachsenring in Germany, a place where we'd never normally get to drift, but tonight these guys get to do it in real life. Dave, I don't know. You know, kind of said I'm guessing Alan Hines is going to be in the final just because of how good he's been consistently over the championship. But you pointed out a good point. You know, Sevriak come out of nowhere and he absolutely decimated Mora.
I just want to give a big shout out also to All In Games, giving away an Xbox on the lead up to every Drift Masters Virtual Championship round. And a free Xbox. All you got to do is keep an eye on the Drift Masters Instagram and Facebook. We'll tell you how to win it. A winner at the last round was Adam Strelecki. Adam Strelecki taking home a full Xbox system courtesy of All In Games. We're back here with the top 8 battles, kicking them off as we head towards that top 4. It is going to be Alex Carrier against Pavel Gross. Pavel Gross in that white S14. Alex Carrier in the purple S15. Into the first corner they go, nice and tight as Alex Carrier now starts to work his way up onto the door of Pavel Gross's car. A little bit of left foot braking from both of these guys. They balance it. Look how close Carrier is as they transition back. We had a big incident in the last Carrier battle. Will there be another one in this one as Pavel Gross looking far more solid in this than he did in the previous 2 battles? Both drivers driving expertly, tagging the wall there from Gross as Carrier now does a great job of staying with him. Last transition, lovely job from both of these guys. To be honest, nothing really there to separate either driver and no major mistakes in.
I think Pavel Gross for me, Dave, was just flawless. Incredible lead run there from Pavel Gross. Few little errors slipping in the chase position from Carrier, but for me, Pavel Gross in that lead was just absolutely textbook. Every transition, every single place he put that car was pinpoint perfect, and the wall runs were just absolutely phenomenal. You can see not a lot of proximity, even though the door wide open. Get up onto the side, you can see a big dive there and then backs out of it for Carrier, and Pavel Gross looking strong.
He is looking incredibly strong, and he's now into the chase position, and this is where he'd prefer to be. This is where you can get the damage done, and Carrier pretty solid in that lead run. This is where Gross can really go close. As you said, Carrier not really having crazy proximity throughout the entire duration of the run. Gross is going to have to improve on that.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's going to have to be glued to the door and make sure there are no errors in this as they come firing down. Alex Carrier now to fire in that S15 as Pavel Gross just wavers ever so slightly, dials out the angle to make sure he's on that perfect line up until the door. That S15 of Alex Carrier is right now come through at the centre, down into that front clipping point as Alex Carrier doing everything he can to go on a perfect lead run. But look at the proximity from Pavel Gross, much closer than what Alex Carrier was. He shallows up the angle, looking for the dive, the early transition, bumper to bumper as they come through up onto the wall.
Well, we asked the question of Pavel Gross, and I think we got the answer. Could he go more aggressive? It looked like he did go more aggressive throughout the entirety of the run. Took a chance, paid off for him. I think he's looking stronger here. I mean, we're not judges. We're only kind of watching it like you guys at home and making our own estimations, and often we can be wrong or we miss something. But to me, over the entire battle, it just looked like Gross was stronger.
Yeah, 100%, Dave. You know, he wasn't completely glued. He does get the win and advances through into the final 4. He wasn't completely glued to the door, but I think he just took the opportunities when they arrived to gain that proximity and put it where he needed to put it. The bumper-to-bumper transitions, for me, sealed the deal.
Absolutely, and he took a risk, and I mean, sometimes you take a risk and it doesn't pay off. It did in spades for Pavel Gross there. So we have one of our top 4 competitors locked in. Who's the other going to be? Will it be Zhao Road in that A90 Supra? Will it be Alexander Holzner in the RX-7? Holzner has been the more consistent driver. Zhao Road has been throwing some big angle left, right and centre, but getting away with it. Let's see what happens here.
Here we go, Holzner to lead, Zhao Road to give chase. Holzner comes off the line, that Mazda RX-7 absolutely screaming through the gears. That Toyota Supra A90 looking absolutely huge in the background there, but big separation on the initiation. As now Holzner puts foot before, starts to drive away. Can Zhao Road find some grip, find some proximity? He needs to really work on this and reel him in. He's going to have to shortcut the circuit. He's going to gain any proximity onto the door. And that Mazda RX-7, as Alexander Holzner now looks flawless in that lead position. Once again, another textbook lead line. Big dive onto the door from Zhao Road.
Impressive stuff from both these guys. I mean, for me, the Swede looking very strong. Holzner, again, in that lead position. He looks good. He looks very comfortable. It looks like he can do, 100 laps of this track in a row, and they'd all be pretty much the same, Ian. I mean, Zhao, he is the more, I'd say, flamboyant is probably the right word, driver. He wasn't really given much of a chance to show it there.
No, he certainly wasn't. He kind of held off, David. It wasn't like he wanted to commit to the battle and commit to the proximity, and that really opened up the door there for Alexander Holzner.
I think at this level of the competition, if you're not right on the door, you're not giving yourself a great chance. I think these guys are all going to be pushing 110%, and Zhao Road has left a lot on the table. He's now in the lead position. He's got to hope but Alexander Holster makes a mistake here in the chase. But see what happens as the lights go green. Holster now, can he get that proximity consistently throughout the whole course? If he does, he'll be going through to that top 4. But Zhao still very much in the fight.
Yeah, nice initiation there, Zhao. Gets on it, big clutch kit after the initiation. And you can see, Holster makes a big mistake, shallows up massively up into the wall, almost drives through that outside zone, looks for the door of the A90 Supra, almost makes contact as they transition down up onto the wall. Once again they go, and you can see Holster nose in the front end of that RX-7 onto the side of that big Toyota Supra. Look once again for the transition and the wall run. Actually, I don't even know that one. There's so many different variables.
I think the lead run was spectacularly good. I think from Zhao there across the whole run. Holster makes an error. He's kind of coming in shallow. I can forgive him for this, but just watch how he kind of gets himself in the wrong place, and then he has to sort of drive and then go the other direction. I'm not sure how the judges are going to see it. To me, it's going to be that mistake, and then if you look at the rest of the run, he's not exactly, unbelievably on the door throughout the whole course either. A little bit here and there. I think the proximity was with Holster. I think the lead run is definitely with Zhao. It's whatever way the judges want to swing it at this point.
I think the lack of proximity, though, in the chase from Zhao is going to be a big factor in this.
It is. That's exactly what I was saying, Ian. It's just, you've got one guy who's got great proximity, but then he makes an error, and then you've got another guy with less proximity, and he makes no errors. What way do you look at that as a judge? That's the question. Are you going to reward the aggression? Are you going to punish the mistakes? That's what the judges are going to be discussing right now. Was the mistake bigger than the reward? And I think it's going to be really judging Holster almost on his own here, from his lead and chase. With Zhao doing kind of a good lead and good chase, but nothing spectacular. I think Holster is going to be the one that they're looking at. And there you have it. It is going to be Zhao Road going through. Not surprised. Big mistake, as you mentioned, from Alexander Holster there in his at the end of the first corner, and he sits there dejected on the track. He might be having a protest, Ian, because he's so annoyed with himself because he was, to be fair, unbelievably consistent up to that point. And it goes to show it can all change in a heartbeat.
Yeah, one little mistake and it's all over. But we move it along to the next battle for a spot in the final 4. Alan Hines to take on Alexander Sevriak. And this one, Dave, well, it's fireworks. Is what I expect.
I'm just excited because Alexander Sevriak just destroyed his last battle. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about him. I kind of like that I know nothing about him because he seems like the mystery guest here. And Alan Hines, he's got his work cut out here.
He certainly has got his work cut out, and he knows. He gets up onto the back bumper. Both guys absolutely firing. Sevriak throws it 90 degrees. Alan Hines struggles to hold on to it, and Sevriak now starts to pull away as Sevriak full throttle through the outside zone. Alan Hines is absolutely blown away right now. Sevriak full throttle once again down the hill. Through, looks for the wall runner. Sevriak foot to floor, a little dab of the foot brake. Alan Hines is not even in this. Where is Alan Hines? He's in another postcode right now. Sevriak fires up onto the wall and across the line.
I told you, this car is just, there's something incredibly fast. But I mean, the first corner, I'm just going to say, be devil's advocate here. I'm not sure how the line would be looked at here from Sevriak. I mean, he goes very wide, but he gets away with it right to the edge. I'm not sure if that's the perfect line that the judges want, and they're happy with that, but watch what happens. It almost is like a spring coiling up when you do that line because it makes you come out of that corner so much faster than everybody else. And Alan Hines just couldn't handle the pace.
Well, I'm going to say this now, Dave. He qualified a lot higher than what Alan Hines did. He actually qualified in 3rd place, and Alan Hines qualified in 6th place. So maybe that is the line the judges are looking for.
Well, there you go. If that is, I mean, we'll know it from as battles go on. But from my perspective right now, Alan Hines didn't have an answer for the pace, and he's in a very, Alexander is in a position now where he's in the chase position. And he knows he's got the faster car. He's got probably the best, let's say, most decorated driver on this grid, on the ropes. This is where you make your name. Let's see what happens.
Well, let's see what happens. Alan Hines comes off the line. The question has been asked. Have you got what it takes? Beat the real sim drifters? Oh, wow. Alan Hines throws on big angle. Look at Sevriak onto the door, wheel to wheel, nudging Alan Hines around that first corner. The Sevriak left foot breaks up onto the wall run. They get door and door once again. Now this is a battle of dominance right now. Sevriak absolutely forces Hines around this custom circuit. On the wall they go, door to door, wheel to wheel. There is nothing between, and one final transition to go, bumper to bumper, as Alan Hines has been asked the question.
And he just couldn't answer it. That's the problem. Yeah, that has to be Alexander's all day long. That's the best chase run we've watched on this circuit. incredible. I thought he was going to make a mistake here. I thought he was going to hit a wheel. He was going to spin Hines. He was going to do. He just managed to stay, that inch away throughout the whole course, and it's the most consistent proximity for me that we've watched any driver have throughout the whole course. I mean, unless I'm watching a completely different battle, I don't think the judges are going to be disagreeing with that one. Alan Hines doing nothing wrong, but Alexander Sevriak. Oh, but it looks like it is Alan Hines that gets the win, and that now is a very interesting one for me because it didn't look like that on paper. Is that down to that first cornering? That's the question.
I mean, I would love.
Okay, so
okay.
I was getting a little bit shocked, but it was a graphical error. And you know what? Even the computers are more wrong than me, Ian, because it is Alan Hines getting eliminated and Alexander Sevriak getting through. So that was a miscommunication.
And the YouTube chat, Dave, literally just exploded.
I imagine. So yes, Alexander. There was no. I couldn't see it any other way. So
no.
And I was like, I'm gonna have to have a serious word with these judges because maybe I'm watching the wrong thing. But no, they were correct. They all went for Alexander. The graphic didn't. So if you want to send your complaints to notworkinggraphic.com, he will sort it out. So here we go. We're back on to the next. Another top 8 battle. Peter Gienseck. Furthest he's got in the competition since the start of the championship. He goes up against a very, very on form Ramazzotti. Let's see what happens.
Ramazzotti looking for the mill right now, and that mill could be Peter Gienseck as Ramazzotti gets door to door. Gienseck been on the ropes the whole championship so far in this DMVC. Could this be the round he finds his feet? Ramazzotti is going to be the guy that asks that question and pushes Peter Gienseck to the limit. Gienseck not doing a whole lot wrong now in that lead position as Ramazzotti once again looks for the side of the S15. Early transition will set him up perfectly for the dive, but he times it too late as he goes bumps to bumper across the line.
Yeah, I was just that one came hot and heavy from the start, and I mean I've got to say I've been very, very impressed with Ramazzotti's aggression throughout all these runs. Like, watch this. It looks like he's going to have a crash every time, and then all of a sudden he just, no, I'm okay. And how he adjusts to this stuff is insane. He does sacrifice quite a bit of angle and some outer zones, to stay with the lead car at times on this run, but I think he's still very much in the fight.
Yeah, Gienseck just needs to bring some serious aggression in the chase now, and we know Ramazzotti's got a very nice lead, but Gienseck needs to just brave a little bit more, push just that 10% more than he did in his last battle.
Yeah, and the problem is that's where he's had the mistakes at round 1 and round 2, being overly aggressive, making mistakes. Does he? I mean, he's probably having to think about it, going, I've got to go super aggressive. I think it's a time just roll the dice. I mean, at this stage, Peter Gienseck doesn't have a whole lot to prove, in the virtual world compared to the real world. Why not throw the dice here? Why not try and go and get that win? He's not going to beat Ramazzotti here with a soft run. He's got to go very aggressive.
He certainly has. Ramazzotti fires into that first outside zone. You can see Gienseck now starting to brave a little bit, starting to pull up his socks. As he goes bumper to bumper on the transition, braves it all. Gienseck starting to really find his feet in the virtual world as he looks once again to dive up into the door as Ramazzotti's S15. Ramazzotti keeping his cool. Onto the wall he goes. Gienseck glancing down, looking for the side of that S15. Pushes Ramazzotti into the outside wall zone and across the line, door to door.
Yeah, I think this is what we wanted, Ian. We wanted someone to come along and say, I'm just looking at the stats here and I'm saying, Peter Gienseck getting to this level of the competition and Alan Hines going out would be like a complete reverse of what's been happening in the first 2 rounds. And it looks like it's it's the likes of Alexander Sevriak and Ramazzotti that are causing these upsets. What's really interesting is that because we're changing up these sim drivers every single time, we're getting a little bit of the unknown thrown in there. And I don't even think you get that in the real world. You get a lot more of it here in the virtual world because these guys are proving their worth. Another tough call for the judges. My vote a little bit more towards Gienseck on this one, but I could be wrong.
No, I'm inclined to agree there. But Ramazzotti gets the vote and wins the competition, advances through to the final 4. Ramazzotti gets the win this time, Dave, and you were wrong and so was I.
Yeah, I mean, I think, this is what happens to commentary, and it also happens because we watch it like a fan. We always zone in on the most aggressive moments, but what the judges are looking for is a complete 2 runs, So I think over the 2 runs, what I'm hearing is Ramazzotti just having the more consistency across the 2 runs. Gienseck, moments of brilliance, but also some errors. It balanced off, and Ramazzotti got the win. So at this particular time, we have got Pavel Gross, real world drifter, going up against road in the Joao road, and then we have Alexander Sevriak, who I think now looks pretty unstoppable, but also going against Jose Ramazzotti, who looks pretty unstoppable. So it's very interesting top 4 ahead of us.
Yeah, very, very interesting top 4 ahead of us. And for me, Pavel Grosz has been so consistent all competition. He has to go through Joao Road at the moment to get into that final. This is for a spot in the final. Who is going to take it through? Pavel Grosz, as I said, looking good so far. They come down, smashing through the gears. Big flick initiation from both drivers. Pavel Grosz is miles ahead right now, but he goes super wide and it opens the door for Joao Road. Joao Road looking to make his mark right now on the side of the S14. They transition down into that front clipping point. Good proximity from Joao, but he makes a little error there and has to stall up the car ever so slightly. Get back up onto the side of Pavel Grosz's S14. Front clipping point comes through and they lag ever so slightly. Both cars slow down and proximity opens up. Pavel Grosz looking strong out front.
He looks strong out front, but I've got to say, Joao Victor Road is the most exciting man to watch a lot of the time. He just does things like in this. Watch this, when he comes in, it looks like there's a collision. He just somehow stops and stays in the fight. Grosz doing a great job. Now watch this again, just pushing forward. Watch the wall runs in the chase position from. You're generally not looking at the chase car for the wall runs, but watch the wall run here as they come down the hill in from the chase car. It just looks incredible. Look at that. Absolutely perfect up onto the wall, and getting to those outer zones. We've seen a lot of other drivers cutting the track to try and stay with other drivers. He's, kind of hitting most of those outer zones. So I think all to play for Grosz, though, in the lead position. No major errors. I think he looked very, very solid there. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one as they switch around. Grosz was able to step up the aggression in his battle against Alex Carrier. Let's see if he can do it again here.
Yeah, Grosz is looking very, very strong. Can he pull it out the bag? One more run left to go. Joao Road doing it for Brazil right now. They fire into the outside zone. Big angle carried by Joao Road as he starts to smoke out Pavel Grosz. Grosz weaves that car up to the side of that Supra. No proximity yet from Pavel Grosz, as you can see him shallowing up the angle, trying to keep a hold of it, trying to keep one foot in this battle. As Pavel Grosz looking for the side of that Supra, just struggling to find it, struggling to get that proximity. One final wall run left to go as Joao Road puts the wing of the spoiler over the wall.
Well, I mean, if we thought decisions were going to be easy at this point in the competition, we were very wrong, Ian. Very, very wrong.
Yeah.
Grosz definitely does step up. I mean, Joao again with the angle. There's no way a judge could tell him he's not on enough angle. That's never going to happen for Joao Road. If anything, there's too much angle quite a lot of the time. Grosz, you know what? He's all right, but he's not right there the whole way through the run. He does have moments of great proximity, especially now coming towards the wall here. He gets very, very close, but not really rubbing door, keeping it steady. I mean, it's kind of a very steady style of Pavel Grosz going up against a very flamboyant style of Joao Road and kind of cancelling each other out a little bit.
Yeah, I just expected more from Pavel Grosz in that chase position, and he just didn't deliver it, unfortunately, Dave. But luckily, we haven't got to judge this.
Yeah, it looks like judges' decisions aren't rocking in, and we shall see exactly what way the judges are going to go. I'm not too sure. I mean, sometimes they reward the consistency, sometimes they reward the madness, but I think you've got two extremes here working against each other, and we'll know by the result which way they've gone, or which style rather they've decided to go with.
Yeah.
So let's see what the decision is going to be.
Well, the chat's saying one more time, and there's a lot of people agreeing. Could we see a one more time between these two guys?
Once again, guys, thanks for watching in from around the world. We're having a lot of fun here at the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Hey, it's getting very heated towards the top end of things, and it's going to be a split decision. It's going to be Joao Road. He's on the road to the final. That's where he is. Because, you know what? His flamboyance, I would have said at the top 32, this guy is far too flamboyant to get to the top spot. But hey, he's in the final. He's making it work. And we move on to a very highly anticipated battle. Alexander Sevriak against Jose Ramazzotti. Ramazzotti's looking amazing now. Ramazzotti cannot afford Sevriak to get away here, can he? Because this guy looks faster than anybody else on this course.
I mean, yeah, he is just a man possessed with probably the fastest car we've seen around this circuit. Ramazzotti needs to keep his eyes sharp right now. They come down at the start line, ready to rock and roll. Sevriak going to fire in. Ramazzotti onto the back bumper he goes. He needs to not let Sevriak out of his sight. He doesn't. Oh, but he makes a big mistake going for the dive, and that's opened up the door, and that is going to be a huge error for Ramazzotti. There is no way he's going to reel back in Sevriak. We've seen how fast this car is through the track as Sevriak stands on the throttle, a little dab of the left foot brake, perfect wall run. As you can see, Ramazzotti sacrificing the track and the line to try and gain that proximity, but there is no way he's going to catch it after that.
No, I think that's a fairly clear advantage to Alexander there, and it all started from the first corner. He dove in, but he caught himself caught on the inside. He had to slow up and come on the front brake. Watch this, just right here. He had to lose all of his momentum there. Sevriak put on the power at that point, and forget about it. You're not going to see Ramazzotti catch him on a sort of a very full throttle. And this is another section I want to talk about, is this this wall run right down here. Most drivers slowing up dramatically for this. For some reason, Sevriak just powers through it, meaning that you don't get that sort of accordion effect where the chase car gets closer. He's figured this track out very, very cleverly, and I think he's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, he's going to be very, very tough to beat. He's took down Alan Hines so far. There's not many more people left to go. Ramazzotti sits in the sidelines waiting to do battle.
Yeah, here we go. It's going to be Ramazzotti in the lead position. Now, Sevriak, we know he's got the faster car. His chase run was absolutely sensational against Alan Hines. Can he do it again? As they come into that first corner, it looks like he's hunting again for the door. And Ramazzotti on a nice angle there. But look at this, Sevriak right back on the door again. And now he starts to apply the pressure. We've got more proximity straight away from Sevriak here, as Ramazzotti doing a great job in the lead position, but just not able to shake Alexander Sevriak as they come through here. Into the last section they go, and look at this, another phenomenal chase run from Alexander Sevriak. Really good stuff there, Ian.
Yeah, incredible driving there. Sevriak did well to battle Ramazzotti there. Ramazzotti didn't really give him the perfect lead line, in my opinion. Sevriak, you could see him on and off the throttle, using the left foot brake to try and balance that car. Nice initiation, both guys get into it nice and early, but watch this transition from the lead driver there. Very shallow, very slow onto that wall run, and that really messed up the chase car. You can see Sevriak though held onto it, gained that proximity, and look at this, door to door all the way through, even on the wall run. Incredible driving.
Absolutely, and I think from my perspective it's going to be very interesting to see what way the judges call it. You've got Sevriak, I think, is going to get the call here though, because for me over the two runs he definitely seemed the more impressive. I mean, Sevriak against Zhao Road would be the fastest man against the most wildest man, so that would be an interesting final. And I think I wouldn't be surprised here to see Ramazzotti go against Pavel Gross. Now I'm jumping ahead of the decision here because I obviously have to wait for the judges. Again, I just think the proximity was far more consistent from Alexander Sevriak, and there was no proximity from Jose Ramazzotti in the chase. So there you have it, Alexander Sevriak going through to the final to face Zhao Victor Road. We have Pavel Gross going up against Jose Ramazzotti in third and fourth, and a little bit of crashing after the finish line. Just a little bit of argy-bargy, a bit of budging around. So it will be Pavel Gross to take on Jose Ramazzotti for third step on the podium. Ian, want to call this one? Want to see? What do you think?
Pavel Gross. There it is.
I'm going to go with Jose Ramazzotti.
Well, there we go. I mean, it's a torn commentary tower. The chat is torn. Who knows right now? I think for me, Pavel Gross has just been very, very consistent. And after losing that last battle, I think he's got a bit of fire in his belly to try and get the last spot on the podium.
Absolutely. I think for me, the reason I'm going with Ramazzotti is that he just seems to have a little bit more of a wild streak, a little bit more wild aggression. In some cases, like the last battle, it won't work for him. In other cases, he looks fantastic. So he has got a little bit of the X factor against what I consider Pavel Gross to be a more calculated professional driver. Let's see what happens as they come off the lines for third step on the podium here at round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Let's see what happens.
Here we go. Pavel Gross fires in. Ramazzotti looking for the side of that S14, and you can see Gross on that foot brake, absolutely dialed as he looks for that front clipping point, perfectly timed. But look at this, from Ramazzotti onto the back bumper, onto the door he goes, tagging the wheels. Ramazzotti really bringing it tight this time around. As they come down the hill, a little bit of separation opens up as Ramazzotti gets himself on the wrong part of the circuit, finds the front wheel of Pavel Gross's S14, and now Ramazzotti starts to waver, starts to lose that finesse out back as Pavel Gross finishes up an incredible lead run.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Ian, and I hate to admit it, but Pavel Gross just much smoother through the course. Ramazzotti, aggressive, but making a lot of wobbles. You know, like that. Watch the front of his car. There's a lot of adjusting, a lot of wobbles on and off the foot brake. He's definitely as aggressive as we want him to be. but he's just backing in and backing out a little bit from it. And yeah, I think he's definitely still in the fight, but that contact there, that's enough. You know, it's enough at this level. It's enough at the 3rd and 4th place playoff. It's enough to knock you off the podium.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, small mistakes, but they were there and they were visible, and you can see even there, not really the right position as they come across the line on the wall run. So Ramazzotti now got a lot of work to do. All he can do is hope that Pavel Grosz is forced into making a mistake.
Yeah, and Grosz, I mean, he has made some today, but he wouldn't be here in the 3rd and 4th place playoff if he lost his cool every time he got into a highly strung battle. So I think he's got to hold his own here, and Ramazzotti goes into that first corner. Oh, Grosz with a very straight and unusual initiation there. He might get away with it, but it was very straight through the first zone. And Ramazzotti did a much better job, but now Grosz maybe trying to make up for that mistake by going as aggressive as possible, and this is the aggression we expected from Pavel Grosz in the last battle. And oh, he's just got a little bit wide there. He'll have to kind of try and reel it back in again. Very close to the wall, gets away with it. Sparks are flying here for 3rd step on the podium. Grosz again with another wobble and another mistake, and has it fallen back into Ramazzotti's hands. Wow.
Well, that one had everything that we wanted for a 3rd place playoff, that's for sure. Yeah, very, very strange initiation there for Pavel Grosz. You can see, it looked like the car maybe caught a little bit of understeer in that outside zone. Not sure how the judges are going to look at that. But then the proximity after there was just flawless. Look at this, door to door, the whole way round. So consistent, matched the angle, matched the transitions. A small mistake there, but look, watch the wall run, how he pulled it off. Incredible, just shortcutted the circuit, jumped back up onto the door, and then yeah, a big wobble there, mistimed the transition.
I would not like to be a judge here. I think there's definitely an argument almost for both drivers here, I think, at this stage. But we have got a decision from the judges, and it's going to be Jose Ramazzotti getting 3rd step on the podium. Ian, I called it. He had that little bit more aggression. And Pavel Grosz, great job, finished up in 4th position. We want to see more of him back around in the next couple of rounds. But yeah, Jose doing a great job getting 3rd step on the podium, which brings us to our highly anticipated final, the final battle of the weekend. Joao Road, the wildest man that's ever driven an 890 Supra in real life or in the virtual world, coming against the fastest man in the world, Alexander Sevriak. This is style versus speed. Who's going to come out on top? Who's going to be the winner of round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship? We are about to find out in a few moments' time. Ian, tough to call here, but tough to bet against Alexander Sevriak at this stage.
Yeah, too tough to bet against Alexander Sevriak at this point in the game. Sevriak, 2nd place qualifier, and absolutely torn the competition apart. We've never seen anyone as fast, but Joao Road brings that style, that finesse, that danger. Can he pull it off? That's the big question.
Well, we're about to set them off from the start line. The lights are about to go green. It's the final 2 runs of the day, and it is Alexander Sevriak in that blue S14. He has been a sensation. He's taken out the favourite, Alan Hines. Can he take home top step? Go into that first corner, massive angle from both drivers, and Joao just getting left for dead straight away here. And the same situation happening again that happened to Alan Hines. That power and speed and full throttle aggression from Alexander Sevriak. Joao is just absolutely left for dead. Joao Road is in a cloud of smoke here. He's in the worst situation on the track. He's following a white cloud of smoke. He's not too sure on the track where he is. He's sticking to his line, but no contest, Ian, so far.
No contest whatsoever, Dave, and exactly the same battle, exactly the same thing that happened with Alan Hines. Joao Road just lost in this one. Big snappy initiation. Look at the initiation. Sevriak fires it in. Joao Road tries to pull off the same sort of initiation, gets himself in that smoke screen like you said, and then that's it, it's game over. There is no way you can see through that smoke, see where Sevriak is, and Sevriak just fires through the circuit full throttle. Look at that smoke train all the way up onto the wall and through. Incredible driving in that lead position.
Amazing stuff. And I mean, I was just noticing he's actually in the lead position. He's on good angle, like he's on big angle going through those sections, so it's not like he's trying to shortcut the track to get, you know, a lot of speed and get away from Joao Road there. He literally he's just a faster driver. He's just staying on throttle much longer and much later, and he must have the setup at the car dial. But we're about to do it again here, so big advantage. One hand on the trophy for Alexander, but can he seal the deal here, or will Joao Road, who we've been trying to, you know, ride out a couple of times today, always finds a way? And look at this, Alexander now jumping up onto the door. Definitely much more proximity here, Ian.
Definitely much more proximity here, and you can see where Sevriak's power and grip comes from. Look at this, dancing on the side, on the back end of that Super as they transition down into the front. Look at Sevriak all over Joel Rose, A90 Super onto the wall. They go door to door, wheel to wheel, through that front pivot point. One final transition. We crown our round 3 winner, and Sevriak pushes Joel Rose across the line.
Well, I suppose we would have liked the final to be that little bit closer, but I think if whether you're an amateur judge, whether you're a first-time viewer, you're probably going to figure this one out yourself. I think the judges have had an easier night than they had 2 weeks ago, Ian. A lot of one more times, but it looked like a lot of it was decided by speed and over-aggression tonight. And you know, and then I mean, the minute we saw that buy run from Alexander, we knew there was something special happening. But once we saw the battle against Maura, I mean, it was a different league. So he's been the guy tonight. This track suiting his car, suiting his setup, suiting everything about it. And I think, you know, it's a pretty conclusive win, I think. But we're going to have to make it official from the judges. I can't make that call. You can't make that call, Ian, as much as we'd love to sometimes. The judges will have to drop in their scores. And it's for the winner of round 3 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship who is taking home that win. And the top step on the podium, we know that Pavel Grosz eliminated in 4th position. He didn't make it to the podium. We got Ramazzotti, who got 3rd position. Who's going to take 2nd and 1st? The 2 drivers are there. Our 2 judges, or sorry, rather 3 judges, are ready. Kevin, David, and Chris to call this one, and they call it for Alexander Sevriak. He gets the win. Round 3 winner is Alexander Sevriak. He came in like a wrecking ball, as Miley Cyrus once said, and he took out the competition. And he is the man to watch going into that final, as far as I'm concerned. Incredible stuff here at what was a very unpredictable, exciting rounding. I really enjoyed it. We've had, you know, we talk about these names climbing up, and there's a big name right now is Alexander Sevriak, a guy that's come in and absolutely just wowed the situation. He's got €1,000 as well, by the way. Joe Road picking up €600, Jose Ramazzotti picking up €300 in 3rd place, and Pavel Grosz picking up €100 for his efforts. But Ian, is anyone going to be able to take down Alexander Sevriak? I mean, for me, he looks like probably one of the most impressive drivers we've watched from the sim world at this point. At round 3, have we introduced a new star?
I think we've just found a new James Dean. I think we just found the virtual James Dean, Dave. That's what I think happened tonight.
And it's incredible to see, you know, and these guys are qualified on to the final round. Jose Ramazzotti, looking forward to seeing him again. Alexander Sevriak, well, he won the event. Incredible stuff. You know, there's some big names going through. I mean, I'm even looking at the likes of Mustafa Anime and all those guys. A lot of exciting drivers now starting to stack up into that final couple of positions. We have one more round, which is in 2 weeks' time, Ian. And at that round, we will get our last couple of drivers, last 8 drivers that are going to go through to that grand final. The grand final taking place just before the start of the actual Drift Masters European Championship. It kicks off at the end of May in Austria. If you're looking for information on the Drift Masters European Championship, all the information is out there and on driftmasters.gp. We're back in 2 weeks, Ian, for more madness from the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. I'm looking forward to seeing some new drivers. I'm looking forward to seeing a new track. And I'm looking forward to getting one step closer to that grand final.
I certainly am as well, Dave. And don't forget, keep your eye on the Drift Masters European Championship social media channels for a chance to win an Xbox free from All In Games. We will announce your name at the next round, round 4. Could it be you? It won't be me. It won't be you, Dave.
Oh, unfortunately, it won't be either of us, but it will be one of you guys at home winning an Xbox thanks to All In Games. We've had an amazing night. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We're back in 2 weeks for round number 4 of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship before we head to the big grand finale. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.